Great. All right. Thank you. Hi, morning. Hi. So guys, we're starting the meeting. If you kind of cease conversing, that would be great. Thank you. Oh, great. So I'm going to call the meeting of the Venetian Community Development District Board of Supervisors to order. It's Monday, June 22 at 9:30 a.m. The first thing we're going to do is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joe?
Yes. Go ahead, Kim.
Point of order, I guess. It's a workshop, not a meeting.
Yes.
You say you're calling a meeting.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah, I'm calling the workshop to order. You're right, Kim.
So,
Yeah, thank you. No, that's good. And I think based on the fact that we're a workshop and not a meeting, we don't have a vote. We don't need to have a vote for you, Cheryl, to participate. We're still waiting for Cheryl to call in, so. All righty, so based on that and the fact that we are in a workshop, the next item on the agenda is public comment. So, and if you,
I'll
sorry.
get you at the end.
Yep, you know what, if we'll do this in parallel, can I, yeah, just stick it on there, and I'm gonna, the first person is Pat Apollonia, so we'll start with Pat. Hello, does it work?
Does it work?
Hi, Pat.
Good morning. Does it work?
Thank you.
I have two comments. The first is, I think the monuments look fabulous. They're like a landmark now, easy to find your way around the community, and they look great. And, oh, there it is. He is claiming credit for this, so we'll see if it's true. When they did the Welcome Center monument, he said his suggestion was to leave off the word center, and now it just says welcome. I think it's great. The other issue is more pressing. I know you have golf carts on the agenda. I came headlights to headlights last week in the small parking lot with a 6-year-old, I'd say, operating the golf cart. It's the worst issue I've seen. So please keep that in mind when you decide whether we need to identify golf carts or not. Thank you.
Yepper, thank you. Thanks, Pat. Next up is Joyce Olson. Morning, Joyce.
Good morning. Good morning, board members and staff. My name is Joyce Olson. I reside at 278 Marchalaco Drive, and I've been here for 7 years. I respectfully ask the board to reject the proposal to impose a pay-to-use fee for fitness classes. The justification has been that fitness classes are no different than tennis lessons. The comparison is fundamentally flawed. While they both involve instructors, they are fundamentally different. Tennis lessons are a private service. A resident chooses to hire as an instructor for personal skill development. The lesson is optional, individualized, and the individual gets direct benefit from that lesson. All residents can fully enjoy the tennis courts without ever taking a lesson. Group fitness classes are different. They are not private instruction. They are the service component of the fitness student amenity that residents already fund through our assessments. For many residents, the instructor-led classes are the primary reason they use the fitness studio at all. The classes are not a luxury or an add-on. They are an integral part of the amenity package residents have been paying for year after year. What is being proposed is not the creation of a new service. It is the imposition of
Do you have a cell phone on you?
an existing service that residents already support through our CDD assessment. The portion of residents is participating is also troubling. Amenities in a community like ours are not funded based on equal usage. Some residents never swim. Some never dine in the restaurant. Some never enter the fitness center. Some never play tennis or pickleball. Yet, all residents contribute because amenities are community assets that enhance the quality of life, support property values, and make the Venetian the desirable community it is today. If the board adopts the principle that an amenity should pay for itself through user fees because a subset of residents participate, then every amenity becomes vulnerable to that same argument. That is a slippery slope that could fundamentally change the expectation of residents who purchase homes in this community. This proposal singles out one group of residents and asks them to pay twice for an amenity they already support through their assessments. That is neither equitable nor consistent with how our community has traditionally funded and operated its amenities. Pay-to-use model was not successful in the past. Why should we make the same mistake again? I urge the board to preserve the fitness program as a community-funded service, reject the pay-to-use model, and continue to support the health, wellness, and social engagement of all residents of the region.
Oh, good timing, thank you. Very well done. Thank you. Rose Canepa. Hi, Rose. Morning.
Rose Canepa, 294 Montalona Drive. I want to express my concern regarding the decision you may make to begin charging fees for the fitness classes that have long been a valued part of our community. While I understand the board's fiduciary responsibilities, I believe this decision overlooks something far more important than relatively a small amount of revenue it might generate. These classes have created a sense of unity that has made the Venetian a special place to live. Unfortunately, the decision of potential fees has already created a division in our community. Residents who once came together through shared activities are now finding themselves on opposite sides of an issue that has become contentious. Instead of promoting inclusiveness, participation, and peace, this situation risks creating resentment, frustration, and a feeling that the community connections are being sacrificed for modest financial gain. What makes this especially troubling is the timing. Our community has recently endured a significant stress and disagreement surrounding a developer's plan to build a shopping center across the street. Throughout that struggle, residents worked together. They stood together and they were trying to protect the character of our neighborhood. At a time when unity is more important than ever, you are now introducing another source of conflict and dissatisfaction. The peace, serenity, and sense of belonging that attracted many of us to the Venetian cannot be measured in dollars and cents. Once they're lost, they are far more difficult to restore than any budget shortfall. These fitness classes have been much more than exercise. They've been a gathering place, a source of friendship, and a way for neighbors to connect and support one another, along with our instructors. I respectfully ask the board members who support these fees to reconsider whether the limited financial benefit truly outweighs the negative impact on our community. I also ask the board members who are listening to us, who are against the fees, to please stand up and state that we do count and that we are important as a united community. I hope the board will listen to our concerns, our resident concerns, and seek a solution that preserves the welcoming and connected environment that's made the Venetian a wonderful place to live. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rose. Keith?
I don't see that.
Lisa,
So far, slow.
Lisa Raymer? Is that you? Did I pronounce that right?
With an N, Rainer.
With an A-ner. Oh, N, okay, got it, okay.
So they can hear it over the.
Okay, I didn't prepare a speech, this might be quick and dirty. I just wanted to know, what other options did you consider, and can the public be aware of the options that you considered to recap the funding? I want to know what is considered more important than, leaving us alone. It's like, why are there so more negatives about not doing something else? The other thing I wanted to know is, can we make this more verbal? I know the fitness room, my husband is an avid fitness person, and some of his friends are also very, very using, whatever the words are, brain surgery, sorry, but, using the gym. And, they've all been fine. I don't know the crowd in which that they're complaining. And if we're so vocal about wanting to keep what we have and not have to pay extra for it, I don't see or hear about their complaints. And I asked my husband, and I asked a couple of other guys, and women, we don't see the contrast. Why pick on us? I just want to know why, and I know you're not picking on us per se, but why not? What are the reasons you're going after?
So normally, normally, this is just typically incoming public comment, but I think you raised an important point, so I'm just gonna quickly say, the point you make is in fact the point, that we haven't discussed it at all yet. And a lot of people have reached conclusions. One supervisor made a proposal for us to consider, and we haven't been able to discuss that at all yet. Any conversation or interaction we have is done only in a public meeting. We can't call each other, we can't text each other, we can't email each other. So anything that happens on this topic or any topic is happening here. And so you're screwing up your face, but we have to. This is sunshine law.
It's not giving you much time.
So, yeah, well, it makes it really difficult
Right.
for us to do any business. So that's one of the reasons why things move slowly in the CDD.
That's
So what I'm
okay.
telling you is maybe two things. First of all, we have not had a chance to discuss it at all yet. I will tell you, none of you know what my view is. And that's probably true for most, if not all of the others. I don't know. The second thing I will say is that we are probably the most transparent CDD in the state of Florida. You may not believe that, but it's true. We publish everything on CDD. We send out board meeting notes to everybody in the community. So I think it's important.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. The recording is on YouTube. They're never taken down. So I would urge you to think about the fact that we really haven't had a chance to discuss this yet at all. So we appreciate hearing from you, as long as it is civil and not personal attacks.
Yeah,
Because if it becomes a personal attack, then it gets shut down.
For the record, I want to mention, I appreciate what you just said.
I'm sure you do.
Which I don't think any of us was aware that there was no conversation.
We haven't
And
talked
so
about it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's all I want to say. Thank you. I have my 3 minutes.
And just to add to that, spending an hour each meeting to listen to this just prevents us from spending time talking about it. Because, if we have to spend all day listening, we can't actually talk about it. We do have lives, we do have time, we have time limits. We can't be here 8 hours a day waiting, doing all this stuff. So just be cognizant of that. We understand where you guys are coming from. But to hear the same thing repeatedly over and over and over again, with just a little twist. I mean, we all know what you're in favor of, and we get that. So at some point in time, you got to let us talk about it, and you can sit and listen and then come back and respond to after we get a chance to talk about it by all means. But to spend we're getting 20 emails a day from people. Some are nice, and some are nasty, and some are downright rude.
Yeah.
And then hours here listening, and
We're doing our best.
Can you come meet with us? Can you come talk to us? And all these things, but we can't talk to each other to make a decision. So you have to please keep that in mind.
Okay.
We're here to listen, but we also need to get this done and a lot of we have the budget to do as well, which is really important. And if we don't get to talk about anything other than fitness, we can't even get the budget done.
Right, okay.
Which we have to do by law.
Right, okay, so, Steve, you get to follow that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was gonna drag a dead horse up here, but I'll leave that alone. I have one comment. Probably a lot of people don't know that Rick has submitted his resignation as the engineer for the community. And I find that very disconcerting. Rick has been here for years, I think probably from the start of the community, and provides a wealth of knowledge, corporate knowledge on what is going on, what has happened within this community. And the loss of him is very disturbing in the fact that I'm not sure that we're going to be able to find a suitable candidate that could even come close to having his knowledge there. And especially at the price that we've been charging with CDD for many, many years. I think the board needs to really take a look at that and have a discussion with him and find out if there's anything that we could have done or that you guys could have done in order to stop this resignation from him, because we're really gonna feel that in the years to come, because he will be sorely missed. I know he's been a big help to the field manager here, and we couldn't have got a lot of things done without him, so that's my 2 cents for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Barbara Silkworth.
Good morning.
Morning.
I want to reiterate that the monuments look absolutely great. They contribute to what all of you have heard about my wow factor. I think it looks great. I also think the fence looks very nice, and I think that will provide a lot of comfort to the residents over on Treviso. I also want to report this morning that I'm very happy to see golf carts on the agenda, and I want you to know that we have identified one golf cart violator, and we will be issuing a fine.
There you go. Thank you, thank you. Lenora Bengerano.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Lenore Mandarano. I live at 129 Verano Court, and I'm a resident for over 9 years. I just want to make one comment first about what you said. I have sent emails, and I have asked questions, and I do get some response. But the only way we can communicate with you is through email and coming to the meetings, which I was told to do. So that's why we're here, to express.
I spoke with, I'm sorry, go ahead, Laura, I'm sorry.
And I get that, I'm just saying the repeated,
Yes, I understand we're repeating, but you must understand why we're repeating, because we feel nobody's listening to what we're saying.
that's not true.
But I'm not gonna go back and
I'm
forth.
just saying, I think you're missing, like Jill said, you have no idea. I don't know where Jill stands. Jill doesn't know where I stand. I don't think anybody here knows where I stand either.
This whole thing started about a month ago or more. And if you guys haven't discussed it at all yet, then we got a big problem if this is gonna be done by August 24th.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We right now on the agenda, it's funded, but if you don't let us get to discussing it, and it's still in the budget for next year, it doesn't mean we have to get this done by next year. It's fully funded right now for the budget.
We said
Oh,
that in the
that's
last
Here,
meeting.
we said that the last
Yeah.
meeting, so it is funded right now.
That's good. I'm glad to
We
hear that.
may change it, we may not change it, we may change it 6 months from now, we may change it never, we don't know.
But you know what, by you saying that kind of always leaves us, my whole speech is probably not gonna be heard. When you say that, we may not change it, we may change it, that's very unfair. You're kind of always keeping us on our toes. Oh my God, are we gonna be charged fees
But
next year?
We can't discuss it,
I
we
think
haven't
that,
discussed it,
I think-
so if we discuss it, we can make a decision. But until we can discuss it and make a decision, we can't.
let me just call a halt. Yeah. Yep, no, look, I get it, yeah, absolutely, it's public comment, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it, so fire away.
Okay. Once again, we come here to the CDD board meeting, all the reasons that the fitness classes are important to the community. Everybody has said, it doesn't really seem to matter in my opinion, because we keep coming back. It seems to twist things around and always come back to the rooms, the amenity, and not the classes. We have stood up here multiple times to multiple people with factual information on how important these fitness classes are. When we bring up tennis and pickleball, you give us a story of how they pay for lessons that are one-on-one. We pay for lessons too if we want one-on-one with a trainer. That's not how group classes. You never ever, this is going to what Lisa said, you've never come up with another way of saving this, or recouping the $62,000 that you speak about. What I can't understand is what are we gonna do when you spend $1.8 million to redo the LaSalle Bar? And next year, we're gonna try to recoup that money. Where are you gonna get that money from? That's a good question. Another thing what I find hard to believe is that the fitness liaison is driving this. And I thought that person would be here to keep the trainers and not try to destroy them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kathy Wachowski, did I get that right, Kathy?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
I'll refrain from comment. I just have a question. I know that, a member of the fitness committee resigned. And although I searched as best I could, to find out what the procedure or protocol is in selecting a new person, or how, if one is interested, how to go forward with that. So I'm asking how that is done.
Because this is public comment, I don't want to get into a dialogue, Kathy, but I'm happy to, I think I sent you an email. Yeah, I did, I replied to your email. Yeah, I did, yeah. So about that, so but maybe we can catch up verbally, or whatever. Yeah, there's a pretty standard process.
Okay.
Yeah, I told her I was gonna get that process too in a follow-up email too.
Yeah, it's a standard
Yes.
process that
Yes.
we've always had, so,
And I'll get-
but there is one.
One of us will get that.
There is one, and in fact, it might even be in the committee charters, but anyway, let's
I
catch up
looked
there.
at it, that's where I looked.
Oh, it's not?
No, I will.
Well, anyway, let's,
Yeah, we'll look.
we'll catch up offline, thanks. Appreciate you asking. And Gary, you want a song back here somewhere?
Hello, Gary Wine at 221 Portofino Drive. I want to thank you all for your service. I understand what the sunshine laws mean, and that you are vulnerable to a felony charge if you speak about these issues among yourselves without being in public contact. So I just want to make that point to everybody clear, and I understand that. I'm here to talk, just to make a quick comment on behalf of LaSalle. I support it. I understand that it's been investigated now for almost 2 years, actually a little bit more than 2 years. I've had personal conversations, informal personal conversations with you individually about the issue. I have not shared any information between you with that, because I fully understand that. I am supporting LaSalle because I believe that it enhances the amenities of our community, which also helps preserve the value and or enhance the value of my personal asset, 221 Portofino Drive, as well as being able to enjoy the facilities of that and be able to get a drink in a reasonable time, an adult beverage in a reasonable time. I understand that this costs money, and I applaud you and rely on your collective wisdom and individual in spending my money correctly, fully understanding that you are looking for the return on investment. That return on investment will come in one and or two different ways. One is the sheer dollars because of increased revenue. That is one of them, but also on the quality of life for the amenity and the maintaining of the quality of the amenity in the first place. That's also part of it. I don't go to a Cubs game expecting to make money from my bookie. I go to a Cubs game for the return on investment of the quality of my life. So with that, I want to thank you very much. I am supportive. I hope that you progress sooner rather than later, even though it's been a 2-year plus journey. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Gary. Was there anybody who walked in late who did not sign up who wants to speak? I see somebody moving around back there. No? Okay. All righty, I'm gonna, oops.
I don't want to speak, but you've spoken passionately about you haven't discussed the issue. When are you going to discuss it, so these ladies have a date at least? Could you share that a little bit?
Well, Steve, as you know, this is public comment
I
because
know.
you sat in these seats, so the short answer is, since we haven't discussed it, I can't tell you.
Well, don't.
We're gonna talk, then I'm gonna end it because we can't, as you know, we can't have a back and forth, okay?
Let me make one last comment. Given the emotion of what's going on, I think it behooves you to set a date and let people know so that this doesn't have to continue.
We always publish the agendas, as you know, and they get sent around to the entire community. So fair enough, we're gonna be talking about budget, so I think it's a fair point, and I appreciate it. Thanks. All right, with that, going, end the public comment. For the record, that was Steve Kleinglass. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Before we get to budget, I had put on item 4B for River Club update, and I want to turn it over to Bill Colgan, our interim GM extraordinaire.
I don't know what extraordinary means, but I can just give you a brief update on what, there's gonna be some noise in the clubhouse today. We're having our ductwork cleaned. The air conditioning units seem to have been a challenge here in the facility recently, mainly due to, I think, some pretty deferred maintenance on those units. So this room feels almost too cold to me, but it's better than it was. The unit in this room was replaced. The one in the other meeting room is up and running. We got the unit that cools the bar fixed in the last week. Hopefully y'all have been in there and noticed that. We're continuing just to kind of clean up on deferred maintenance. We do need to address as it turns out, something that I'm not familiar with because I live out west where there's no humidity. Apparently you have UV lights in your air conditioning units here, which I'm not familiar with that, but I did some AI research on it. And all of the units here, the UV lights are not functional at the moment. So, and this just came about in the last few days, so we're probably gonna have to get those done as soon as possible.
Okay.
Other than that, roof inspection is coming this week. We've identified some challenges with member billings and statements. We've identified more than I'd like to see that are way past due. There could have been some challenges with getting statements to members. As I understand it, everybody has access to their member statements through the website, and you can actually make payments through the website. We do not mail out paper statements. That has not been done in a long, long time. We are in 2026 and do not have the resources to execute that. We will be sending out a communication piece to the community to try to get it out hopefully by the end of the day or tomorrow, just kind of explaining the process to everybody. If you're not getting the email, we can probably get that rectified, but you can always go in and download your statement and pay online. If you want a paper copy, we would ask that you would come in to the reception desk and those ladies would be happy to print one out for you. The short story is there's a lot of aged AR here that's very concerning, and we are trying to address that as professionally and as firmly when necessary.
How old was some of those? I know Cheryl was working
More
on
than
some.
120 days, right?
Didn't we agree to start cutting people off on?
Some people are, I think, right?
We did. Cheryl, you did that.
Yes, yeah, I did. And can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I did do that, and I actually was in Bill's office last week, and they have reports now of people who are aged. They're going to make some calls, and those that they cannot work on, I'm going to get involved in and do the same process I did last time. And we will go forward with the letters that say we are cutting people off at a certain time. We just want to make sure the letters go out in sequence, so I will follow up on that when I return.
Quick question for you, Cheryl, on that one. Alex had printed a report for me, and there were a number of tenants on there. And that may be something we have to address down the road, because frankly, it infuriates me to see a tenant on an accounts receivable report. That's the homeowner's responsibility So maybe we can change a process there.
I mean, I see the.
Yeah, and actually I've had multiple conversations with homeowners and I've had them okay the tenant bills because that is addressed in the rules and regulations.
Yes.
There's no question.
I mean, we've got people who are 90 days over, 60 days over, 30 days over in current. So. I mean,
Yeah, they should be shut off.
That should be, that should be shut off after 60. I mean, if somebody hasn't paid through 2 cycles, that should be shut off.
Don't we have to legally notify them though, Rich?
Yes, there's a process.
There's a process, and so that's the issue, Cheryl, is the fact that we
That
didn't.
is the issue.
Okay, thank you.
How much notice do you
Yeah,
need to
and
give?
actually I'm getting with J-Rod, Jessica Rodriguez again to go over the process to make sure that it's,
Okay.
I think something
Okay.
fell apart there, so
Okay.
we gotta fix it.
Got
Once we
it.
fix it, we'll start training.
Okay. Okay, great.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to derail.
Sorry.
No, and we've come up with the 60
Hang
days.
on, guys, if you want to have sidebar conversations, you've got to take it outside, please. Thank you.
Can't
Yeah,
stop
Joe.
them here when they're trying to have a workshop.
So we're addressing the AR.
Okay. Ken, did you ask a question?
Yeah. I thought we solved this on the tenant side by requiring all renters to file a credit card, have a credit card on file, so we can avoid this.
That's true, but
Why
we
don't-
have
why
to
aren't we
actually
just
go do
charging
the
the credit
research now
card?
to figure out what's going on.
What I'm wondering is whether there were, when we changed the rules, whether there were some leases already in the pipeline where that had not been effectuated. So I think, Cheryl's gonna look into it and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think we need to look at household members too, because I'm looking at some of these where one member of the household was denied and now the other one is delinquent.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to.
Needs to be an address.
It needs
Yes,
to be by address, not by individual.
exactly.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right, we've beaten that one.
Yeah, so, okay,
The last thing I have is in regards to food and beverage. We began the process a couple of weeks ago of menu analysis, sales mix, volume, and we're going to be streamlining the menu. Not just because it's summertime, but it's the prudent business approach to cut back on waste. So we've identified the least popular items on the menu. The menu, when I saw it, even before I came here online, was not the appropriate menu size for this type of a facility. With the volume that's done here, there was too much waste. There are too many items that need to be ordered. Storage space is almost non-existent for an operation this size, not just in the food side, but also on the beverage side. You have way too many wines here. It's an impressive list, but it's not appropriate for this type of a facility. So we began the process a couple weeks ago of identifying the excess items that are not necessary here. So we're going to be running some great wine specials, which we started last week. We will be reducing the number of SKUs in certain types of alcohol. You don't need 20 types of whiskey here. Just streamline it. It will make the operation more efficient, reduce your inventory, which technically is money sitting on the shelf rather than where it should be. The menu will get streamlined and it'll probably stay that way going forward, but it will also allow the chef who does amazing specials to offer more specials. So what you've seen on the table tents is usually an appetizer, a handheld, and an entree type item or specials. By streamlining things off the menu, bringing them back as a special, it'll seem a little more important. And then, frankly, the specials are usually the top sellers anyways, because the menu got too big. If you love clams, those are coming off the menu, but they'll come back as a special. That's just one example that I have right there. Father's Day brunch was great. First time I've seen that. I have some recommendations the team will talk about as far as execution and seating and flow going forward. We did 110 covers. Last year, there were 77. So I'm not taking any of the credit for that, but that's a good sign here. I think the back of the house and the front of the house have been working a little bit better together. Trying to live in reality and manage the business to the volume that's here and prepare for going into season with better efficiencies.
Okay, great.
Okay, just make one recommendation for the menu. I mean, we've talked about it, it's kind of a personal thing, but Cindy has the same issue, and I know a lot of other people in the community do. Like, we used to have hamburger night. It used to be, you get a hamburger, a veggie burger, a Beyond Beef burger, or a chicken breast. My wife doesn't eat meat, so she would order chicken. It's not on the menu anymore. Somebody's vegetarian, they can't order a veggie burger. I think we might be losing a lot of business by not having some options, because if I eat meat, but somebody doesn't, or somebody, we don't come. So we're shut out a lot of things, a lot of the events we have are also shutting out a lot of people because there's just not options for those things. And I'm not saying to have a million things, but if I can have a chicken breast on a salad, why can't I get a chicken breast on as a sandwich?
Right.
So just those simple little twists just to help make it more inclusive so more people have an opportunity to get things without adding SKUs to the kitchen.
Right. Well, we have chicken already.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, the other, we got the burger night now is being executed out of the kitchen. It's not a buffet anymore. I just never really liked the look of that. So everything will be coming out fresher. And we scaled it down to where we just had a toppings bar for 1 week, and then we got rid of that. So your burger will come out of the kitchen. I don't like the look of bringing you a plate and then you have to go stand up and walk across the room to put the toppings on it. That just doesn't make sense to me. So it's been going well. We brought fish dinners back, got rid of the buffet on that for the most part as well. And it seems to be working smoother in the back of the house. The fish is fresher because it's basically being cooked to order. The brunches on Sundays had to go away on a regular basis weekly. There's just not enough, there are not enough people in the community at this time of the year to be planning a buffet brunch for 17 or 18 people. In the real world of restaurants, you would never do that. So we've gone to a la carte breakfast on Sundays. We will do a brunch once a month, and we are targeting specific Sundays. So it's not going to be the third Sunday of every month. We're picking Sundays where it's not competing with an event on Saturday night, because we can't expect the limited number of residents in the community right now to come to the club 4 nights a week. I mean, that's unrealistic. So we targeted specific Sundays that it makes sense to still do full-blown brunch buffet on random Sundays going forward through August.
Cool. Sounds good. What else? Are we good? There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on today.
Yes. Good. Thank you. Thank you for everything. It's been great. So cool. All right. So let's circle back.
Jill?
What?
Can I get a minute?
Oh, yeah, sure. Of course you can.
No, I just wanted to bring up, I'm having some phone calls as of late about big lizards, not alligators.
The monitors?
And so, I spent the weekend down at Cape Coral at some friends of ours, and they live in a pretty affluent area, and the neighbor next door has already shot 56 of them, so they're coming this way. Yeah.
These are the Nile monitors.
Yeah, they're coming this way, and I've had some phone calls as of late from people that so I talked to my alligator guy, and he said, I don't have anything to do with it, but I do know some guys that will come out and shoot them. And I'm like, ugh. how do I do that? Where do I, you know, and I'll have to get with the Florida Department of Wildlife and get more guidance there with that and how to get rid of these things, because they're very evasive. They're nasty. They will, so it's something that I wanted to bring to your attention that, you know, I'd be going forward. I'm not gonna be going out with please. I'm not gonna be going out with a air rifle and shooting them, although I'm probably qualified to do that. But I need to bring it to your all's attention and let you know that this thing it's out there and they're coming this way.
Can you shoot them? Like, is it legal?
Yes, a lot of golf courses hire guys to come out and actually, especially down south, to actually start eradicating them.
What
So
do they eat?
Whatever they want.
Other guidelines?
So if I see one that can illegal, I can shoot it?
Well, with an air rifle, I'm believing so, yes.
Can you discharge a
I don't
firearm?
think you can discharge a firearm
That's
in
what
this
I'm saying. That's what I'm
community.
saying. I didn't think so.
So those
That's my
are some guidelines that I have to
Yeah.
get and find out the particulars and then get back to you on those.
Has anybody reported seeing one?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
Wow.
yes, my
Yes.
neighbor.
Just last week,
Really?
just last week, I had another phone call from another one. It was huge. And I believe what she has to say. So, it was, so that's why I'm having this conversation now. I called my alligator guy. He knows guys that do this. They come out and do that type of thing. I guess it's probably more sport than anything else, but, and what that costs, I don't know. But I will have more information going forward for the next meeting.
Okay.
And then, but that's, I'll give Jill on the other thing later, but just to know that that's what, if you hear about those things.
Terrific.
Just one more fun thing about Florida, Bill.
Yeah.
Keith, I have a couple lines for you.
Sure.
If you don't mind. So, first of all, I wanted to compliment Laura on all the work that she's doing from the Tech Wave perspective. I know she's been coordinating with Marie on the POA side and Alex for Jonas to make sure things like the leases and everything are kept up to date across all three systems. So kudos to her for that. And I think that will also help with some of the tenant issues that we're having with the AR. So they're keeping that clean. The other thing is during the APPEC meeting last week, I did indicate that I thought I had a candidate to fill that empty position. I do not. It was Chuck Schultz. I had filled his position I filled him in when Lance resigned. So I need to have you send out an email to the entire community Okay, for the APPEC open
And
position.
facilities as well.
Okay, so you want to just send out a whole
Send me
one?
an email about those, I'll make sure that it gets.
I will send you that email.
And this is a good opportunity maybe with respect to Mrs. Witrovsky's. So how this works is, an email goes out to the entire community. Typically it happens when we have a vacancy. Sometimes it doesn't, and I'll explain that in a minute, but the typical process is an email goes out to the entire community saying we have a vacancy on this committee, that committee, et cetera. Please submit your intent, which would include your CV or whatever you want to say about yourself and why you want to be on the committee. And that goes to Belinda Blandon, who is our district manager. And then she brings, those get sent out to all the supervisors. And we take a look at them. And then typically there's a recommendation by the liaison to the committee, who they would like to have go on the committee, but all of us see all of the applications. So it's a transparent process that way. There have been times, for example, I think it may have happened with my committee, which is social and dining, or maybe when I was still facilities, where it was a few months after an email had gone out and there had been a couple of people who had said they were interested. So I went back to them first, because one of the complaints about the process has been that people who aren't selected never hear the disposition of what happens. So that's part of the process of trying to get back to people who originally applied. But it is a process whereby everyone on the board sees the applications and then the person is voted in for either a 2-year term or to fulfill the remainder of a 2-year term.
And I will say this, when the position was open on FPAC, when we sent out communication, I interviewed everybody and spoke to everybody. And then I did a follow-up to say, I'm sorry, or yes, congratulations. So the communication happened, and I got the documentation for it for anybody who's interested. And then I brought my recommendations to the board when it came time to fill that open position. And like I said, I had Chuck Scholes, who I would have loved to have placed at the time, but it just didn't work out. And I had him as a backup when Lance then resigned from the committee. And we all agreed to that. And that's what I thought I had in place from the last FPAC. I thought I had one more individual in place, another candidate. I did not. And as I mentioned in the FPAC meeting, I said if I did not, or if that candidate wasn't interested, which I never had one, I would reach out to Keith. And so now here on record, I am reaching
That'll go
out
out
to
today.
Keith.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And then we're gonna do the one for facilities as well?
Yeah.
All right,
I thought we were gonna do that like 2 weeks ago, but yes.
okay,
We
great.
should, that should go out.
Yeah, and then
Thank you.
just maybe to close the loop on that, we,
Oh,
There-
and
oh, and
finance,
finance
and finance,
committee.
and finance too.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, and then finance. Okay.
And then what happens is you will see, again, everybody gets access to the agendas. You will see when, the board is gonna be considering that. Pretty much everything that we're gonna cover, except for during supervisor comments, is gonna be on the agenda. So the agendas are gonna tell you what we're doing, so. So-
Finance, facility, and fitness.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wait, landscape, Cheryl?
Cheryl, do you have anybody?
Do we need landscape?
I don't think so.
You don't?
Sorry, I had to unmute. So landscape has been working more on the plan, and I will be bringing it to the next meeting. The full plan with a bid and numbers and the revisions that were requested. Beyond that, we've made a few more revisions to the plan, which I will talk about next time. And we are looking at the next flower rotation, which should be coming up in about a month and a half. So that is it from landscape right now.
Cheryl, do we need to backfill for KID? So do we need to include?
Yes,
Okay,
we can. I already have 2 applicants from the last time when we didn't need anybody, but we should include
We
them
should.
again.
Let's
Okay.
just do it.
okay.
Any other committees? I don't think so.
Yes,
Oh,
finance.
Finance,
Yep,
yep, we
yeah, we
got,
got
yeah, Byron was waving his arms, so.
Social and dining.
Yeah.
Social and dining is
Yeah.
good.
And tennis.
And tennis is
rackets,
good. Yeah, racket sports is good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so,
Okay.
is there anything else? Are we talking, I don't have anything I need to bring up on budget, because I think the people who are doing public comment, we're doing public comments this morning are interested in anything. Do you want to bring up anything on fitness fees, or maybe I think,
Well, Cheryl asked me to provide a history.
okay,
And I have that history, and Cheryl and Ken, I actually need to email you the PDF document.
Email to me too, so what happened?
Okay, all right, I will email it to all of us,
I hate to be-
and make sure Belinda has it.
yeah, I was gonna say copy to Linda. Yeah.
But you guys can have this copy for now. Let me get this email to them. I'm sorry, I didn't think we would actually get to this, so let me do this.
Good Lord.
Yeah, Cheryl. Where are you, Cheryl? There you are. Okay. Timeline. Let me do this. So I'll tell you what, this was enlightening in more than one way. Let me get this to you guys. And so I have all the supporting documentation, but this is a highlight. So let me just read it to you. All right, Cheryl, Ken, I sent it to you. So August 2004, River Club opens, okay? September 8th is the first time I'm able to see of 2004 that we charged $10 per person for a yoga class, okay? So within one month after they opened, all right? So the September 8th class had 14 individuals in there, 3 of which are still residents today, okay? The instructor collected $140 directly from the individuals. So it didn't actually run through the River Club, okay? And then, so that she collected $140, the instructor collected $140 for that class and then offered a water aerobics class for free, okay? So water aerobics was consistently free. Then we went back and we started offering $30 per month packages for the first individual. If there was a spouse, the spouse got it for $15 a month. So this went on until May 30th of 2012, when WCI had pulled out of bankruptcy and started to contribute to $100,000 a year towards the River Club, okay, with the agreement that they would manage the River Club because they had 400 homes or so to sell in the community.
Right.
At that point, because we were getting that infusion of $100,000, they were managing the River Club. We allowed them to do it, okay? We dropped the fee.
So were they managing for free as well?
You know, I don't know what that, I don't know if there was a fee associated with that or
Well,
not.
probably
So
not.
I'm just looking at the
Probably
fitness
not,
fees.
if they're giving us that for $1,000, probably not charging us a fee.
Well,
I don't know.
Giving it.
I will tell you this.
I don't know,
when-
so I don't want
Yeah.
to, that's really not pertinent to the conversation.
It is because we're also not paying for management fee on top.
Okay, but I think we may have been. I think we may have
All
been, but I can look into that for you, okay?
I have the paper.
So on September 30th of 2015 was the last day that we received a payment from WCI
Right.
of $100,000.
Turn.
So that next fiscal year, 2015, October 1st, 2015 till September 30th of 2016, there were no fitness fees because of the way the budget had been established. October 2016, we started fitness fees again, once WCI was out of the picture, okay? In January of 2017, we had a resident survey that went out that supported the fitness fees at 61.6%. So 61.6% of this community agreed to support the fitness fees. All right, so we went along and we had our fitness fees with water aerobics, outdoor classes still being free, okay? So then in December of 2019, and this is where I think Jill's got a little bit of history here, because there was inconsistent billing policy within the fitness center itself, okay?
I'll get there.
Yeah, so water aerobics wasn't charged, indoor classes were charged. There was that inconsistency. There were billing issues. People were signing up and not paying or sneaking into the classes. There was a variety of issues at that point. And so that board decided that because there were inconsistencies within that fitness arena, we were going to stop charging for fitness fees because it was inconsistent. Now that was in, I'm not going to state my opinion. Then COVID hits, right? And we never went back to fix the issue of the inconsistent billing that was taking place and the people that were speaking in classes. So what we did was, well, we said, we're going to just not charge anybody anymore, okay? But here's the thing, and all along this entire 22 years, we talk about private lessons in tennis, and yes, private lessons are very much like private fitness classes that we take in the fitness center with our instructors. However, we do offer fitness classes. Tennis classes, all right? So there's a distinction.
You mean a clinic?
No, it says group classes require a minimum number of participants. If the minimum's not met, the class will be rescheduled.
Yeah,
In
that's
our rules and regulations, it says a minimum of 4 participants within tennis for their class will be required at $20 per hour per person per class. If there's 6 participants, it's $15 per hour per class. We're calling these classes. So all along, we have been charging for tennis classes, okay, but not fitness classes. Because fitness had its own little issue, and we took a very myopic approach to this, right? A very focused approach. It's just fitness classes. It's not a global thing. So if one thing didn't apply in fitness, then it didn't apply anything for fitness, but it never applied to tennis classes. All right? And I can even extend that and say, last year we had a line dancing class, and people paid for that class, right? So I guess the question is, and I am open to anything, but what I want is a consistent policy. I want a consistent policy across this, and I don't think anybody on our board would argue that we want consistency across what we do for what I consider to be optional services. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, and I want to include credit card fees in those optional services. So this isn't a matter of picking on anybody. It's just a matter of making sure our policies are consistent, okay? And I'm fine if we're consistent. I mean, right now, I'm working with Matt to see what we need to do about the lockers.
Right.
Because people are locking up the lockers.
Right.
We're looking at redesigning those. They're supposed to be paying
There's a
for it. We
fee.
are gonna be fixing that, okay?
Right.
We're also gonna be having conversations, and I've had it with some people, about the ball machine,
Yes.
okay? So this, like I said, this isn't about picking on fitness classes. This is about creating consistency in our policy. And I think everybody on the board would agree that that consistent policy should be applied across the board for optional services. I know you guys call fitness classes amenities, but then you could also call these tennis classes amenities. We can make the same argument on each side, depending on which side you want to support. And I don't want to support any side. I want to create an equality across the board. That's all that I'm asking for. And by the elimination of the fees back in 2019 or 20 or whenever that was, I think that was unfair to the board. As a matter of fact, the board member said it was unequitable within in fitness to have one pay and not the other. I get that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and let me just add, oh, sorry.
So no, go ahead. And then, so that's the end of my story, basically. You know, the policy was for a very long time, from the month that the River Club opened up, that we were paying for these fitness classes. And I think what was happening was, because of the cost of the fitness classes being $10 a piece, these yoga classes, the instructor felt like she could offer a water aerobics class for free to offset it, right? So for two hours of her time, she was making $140, but only the yoga students were paying for it.
Interesting.
So that's my perspective. Again, this has nothing to do with picking on anybody. This is just about creating an equal policy across the board, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And you can criticize me for it, but on the flip side, I think it's unfair that we charge people for some things and not others when they're optional services. And I'm done.
So, yeah, so the first thing I'm gonna say, which I think is, you know, in answer to what Steve raised, which is, I think if, this is really, first of all, this is really helpful. I thought I knew a lot about it, but I had no idea.
Hours.
I'm sure you did.
Hours.
So I think what we should do is make sure at a future meeting soon,
Yeah.
we set aside time to have a discussion, not only including this, but on the broader issues.
Agreed.
Because
Agreed.
on the tennis, what I think in our schedule is classes, but I would call clinics as a reformed tennis player. 10% is coming back to the club.
That is true too. 10% is coming back to the club.
So the club is getting some
Yes.
income back,
Yes.
which is a good thing. But I think we should call it out on an agenda, you know, if we're gonna be discussing this
Absolutely.
at a future, say that, I don't know if it'll be the next board meeting, maybe we can discuss that, but I just wanted to add one thing, and Steve Kleinhaus will probably recall this.
That'd be me.
Yes, that'll be Steve. That I was the chair of the
I've been through this twice.
I know you have.
Yes.
I was the chair of the old recreation committee back in 2019, and there were 3 or 4 board meetings. I think we began in December of 2019, when there was some discussion, and you and Susie and David, I think it was Rick and Rich Bacco, And I got charged as the chair of the recreation committee to go back to the committee and do the work. And when I analyzed the data, what I discovered is that a quarter of the fitness slots that were being used by students did not have the $2 or $3 fee collected. And we don't know why. We don't know whether people did not put their name down after they came into the class, or whether they, whatever it was, they were not charged and it was inequitable. So the committee voted 5-2 to recommend to the board that until this is our recommendation, I'm not saying it was what your rationale was, Steve, but our recommendation was that until the billing situation could be fixed, that the fees should be suspended. And then and that was in February of 2020.
So pre-COVID. So
the month before COVID, we made and then there was one more meeting in the main dining room of the CDD board, and then we had to go to the emergency. Everybody was, doing things remotely. So anyway, I may not have 100% of that right, but I think I do because I got the minutes from Belinda from that period of time.
Yes,
So,
and I get those as well.
So, there has been a lot of work done, and I think we should, sorry to just add that in, but I think the context is important.
I think the context is important too, and I think the fact that, if you guys have made the recommendation not to charge until things could be fixed, we have a system that can fix it now.
And I don't know that was the rationale
but
of the
that's
people who voted on the board, that I
Right.
don't know.
But the rationale should have been a consistent policy, regardless of what that was all about.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I think our board, we are so good at that. We are so good at making sure that what we're doing is fair and equitable across this organization. And that is why I think we need to pursue this. And I don't care whether it's we charge for the fitness classes, or then we don't charge for fitness classes and we don't charge for anything else.
Cheryl, could you go on mute?
So it is just, we need to have that consistent policy. It needs to be equitable across the board. I think it's very unfair that we're charging people for a convenience fee, which is an optional service.
For the credit cards.
For the credit cards. And we're charging for clinics, and we're charging people for poolside bingo next week. And that is an outside vendor coming in and encouraging socializing, social networking, and all those things that we as a community want and you guys talk about.
So why don't we, our next meeting is July
13th, and I will not be here.
You won't be here.
I'll be on the road.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe in 2 weeks after that.
2 weeks after that,
So
yeah.
that will be the 27th. Now, we're gonna be approving the budget, but that's fine because,
Yeah.
or that's August.
That's August.
I'm all right.
That's okay. Yeah.
So then we could do it the second.
Can we do it the second meeting in
And
July?
then
Yeah.
it will be, just so you all know that we'll be putting it sounds like we'll put that on the agenda, but you should always check the agenda, or frankly, you can email any of us and say, is it on the agenda? Rose knows that.
So Cindy, so
Yes.
the reason I was asking
Yes.
is because, we did, classes became free when we get $100,000 influx from WCI, so obviously.
I've got to take a look at the financials for that
It
one.
seems like we had money come in, so the question is, we had money coming in and then we weren't paying WCI. Not only do we have money coming in, we also were spending money for management fee. I'm just saying if.
I know, I understand.
So I'm just trying to understand that, because obviously that could explain why that situation occurred, because if you're flush with cash from outside sources.
So keep in mind, that was
you can
also
do
the
those
day
things.
that we closed and we gave WCI the influx of money for buying the River Club. So that transaction took place on that day, let's say May 30th, right? We paid WCI then for the River Club, okay? So they had that influx of cash so they could start building their homes again here in the community, because they had a few hundred homes left to build. So there's, I wish I could give you all the history. The whole history class would take more than, there's so much behind it, but I will find out.
I want to be
I
careful
absolutely will.
because there's a ton of stuff we gotta get.
Yes,
And
so I'm
the
done with
architect
that.
coming
I am done with that.
in
Yes.
10 minutes.
Yes. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
But that's.
No, don't be
So
sorry. It's
can I
appreciated.
ask one question?
Yes.
One other,
Sorry,
Ken,
sorry,
Ken, hold
same
on.
thing to Cindy, because I asked for this history, and this is very helpful. It gives me something to noodle on.
Mhm.
Secondly, before we have the next discussion, can you be prepared to talk about, we now have some rules about who can use the fitness room
No,
and.
that's not true.
I thought we voted on something about the number of people with the trainer that could be in there, did we not?
Oh, for private classes only, yes.
Yeah.
We said for
So I
private
think we
classes
need
too, yes.
Right, but I think we need to talk about that in
Okay.
concert with all of this, so that we are not,
Right.
creating one rule that creates a problem with another rule, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So if you could be prepared to talk about that too, but this is very helpful, thank
And
you.
the guest policy rule also, as
Well,
well.
Yeah, so in the beginning, guests were not even allowed to go to these classes. Now we allow guests,
So-
yes.
Okay.
So that's the other question, should the community be subsidizing guests?
So, we'll
This-
discuss
Okay,
it then.
all right.
So that's gonna be.
Ken had a
7.
question for me.
Yeah, go Ken.
It wasn't a question, it's a comment.
Okay.
That, when you look at the fees for tennis classes, clinics, whatever you want to call them, that's all part of the tennis director's compensation. So it subsidizes his compensation.
No, it
No, it's
doesn't.
not.
That's incorrect.
That's incorrect, he goes off the books.
Yeah.
He goes off the books and makes up that time.
What do you mean?
He clocks out.
He clocks out basically. So if he's got a 2-hour lesson on a specific day, he works 10 hours.
But he gets paid for the lesson.
The people who take the lesson then pay the lesson, but he has to make up his time here with the River Club for his payroll, his personal payroll. We're not subsidizing that at all.
No, and in fact, we give 10% back.
Yeah,
That's new with Hampton. Hampton
Uh-huh.
insisted. That's something
Okay, I guess
we'll reiterate what the process is on the
Yeah.
27th of July. It's
Yes.
an important point.
I'll,
Yeah, I guess I need to understand that because most pros, whether it's golf or tennis, they're getting additional income, not just salary,
Yes.
because base salary generally isn't enough. So that they're subsidized, but they're the wrong word. They're getting compensation from lessons, clinics, classes, whereas we're not doing that for the fitness class instructors.
well, those fitness class instructors are third-party vendors. They're not on our payroll. So what happens is.
I know, but they're getting, we are paying them.
Correct.
But only for
as
their,
vendors.
there's a difference here
Yeah.
because Matt is doing a lot of other things, including managing, the fitness function and bocce, et cetera. And Matt
Yeah,
purposely.
I'm not questioning
Yeah.
the base salary.
But it isn't, I understand you call it a salary, but I think it's important to recognize that there's not a fixed number because he is not the hour or hours in a day that he is teaching lessons are not hours that the club is paying for.
I understand, Joe. So when he's doing that, he's acting as a third-party vendor. When he's giving a lesson or a clinic or a class
I guess you could look at it that way, yes.
and getting paid for it.
The same way the
And I'm
instructors
just
are.
saying, the fitness instructors aren't, we're paying them.
Right,
Okay.
we are paying them,
So,
yes, we are paying them as vendors, and then, well, actually, no, that's not true, because Matt gets paid through Hampton, because what happens is the people that are taking their classes are charged to their billing account for the tennis classes that are taken. The tennis classes, they get charged directly to their billing account, and then the money comes from Hampton to Matt.
Goes to the income statement.
Yeah, you gotta look, if you take a look at some of the people that take the tennis classes, you'll see that they, on their billing statements, have a charge for those classes. That's accurate?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, yeah. So in
Well,
effect,
That's my point.
Well, I'm,
these tennis people are not paying Matt directly is my point. Hampton is paying Matt just the same way Hampton is paying the fitness instructors.
am I saying the same thing?
Are we saying the same thing, Ken?
I just think,
No,
well, then
because in the case of the tennis classes, the people taking the classes are paying for it one way or another.
yeah.
Yes.
In the case of the fitness classes, we're paying for it.
Well, that's the point.
We, the community.
That's the point, is I want to create that equity, is these tennis.
I understand. I'm making an argument
Okay.
supporting that.
Okay. All right, so I think,
I was.
all right, so here's my
Okay.
question. Do we
Thank
want
you,
to
Ken.
take, I don't know if John Swidrock is here yet. He was gonna come at 10:45. Do we want to take a quick break?
Yeah, I can take a bio.
And then I'm looking at Rose, because Rose is the person I know best. So it looks like the 27th of July. record at 10:54. So just for the record, we've been joined by John Swidrak. John, what's the name of the firm now? Swidrak?
No, it's Costera Design.
Oh, it's oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Costera
it's just
Design.
Costera is, so I brought a reference project.
It's a reference.
And it's kind of just to talk about what would be the expectations of this next step we go to.
Okay.
So, Costera is Spanish for coastal. My focus is coastal design, coastal projects, and with hospitality, homes and houses of worship is what we're focusing on.
Yeah, and just maybe for the others, John and Bob and I have been talking about, I think there have been enough questions from the other supervisors. Okay, so to put it in this, there have been enough questions, and I think I thought we would really benefit from hearing from John to help us think about how we move this along to the next phase. So unfortunately, we don't have Jamie Selby here, but I think, John, you'll be able to help us out with any questions we have generally that I would maybe describe as operational.
Okay.
Good, okay, what makes sense? Do you want to take us through what we have here?
I'd like to just talk about kind of next steps first.
Okay.
I know we've
Yes.
gotten to the point of some preliminary pricing. My understanding is that we have two numbers that kind of support each other now, that we feel like we're on track or in a good range. Our next steps would be developing this into a tangible or at least a visible project. Right now, we've been looking at black and white drawings that are flat, 2D drawings. And the next steps into the design is, what does this actually look like? What does the interior bar look like? How does this connect to the dining room? And creating those visuals. Along with that, visuals becomes materials and colors and light fixtures. And that process is interwoven with our interior design or the interior design team that I would prefer to use. Now we can decide who we go with for that. But it's working together in that process. So we don't end up with a design and then have an interior designer involved and they're picking furniture, which I try to get that all included in that design phase. Also the exterior design. We've talked a lot about this extension out and what does this actually look like? We've had reference images, we've had drawings that show columns and roofs and ceilings and fans, screens, operable screens, and fixed screens. So the next steps would be, what does this actually physically look like in here? And that's how it's presented.
Before we get to that, I mean, we have not agreed on the floor plan.
Not the final one, no.
Yeah, so I mean, I know a lot of work has gone into it. I still have questions on that have not been answered.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how anybody else on the board feels with questions as to the floor plan.
Yep.
How do we, I guess it's a process question, because I know at least one of the other supervisors also has a question. So how do we, in your experience, how do we bring those questions and concerns into the funnel to get to a plan that we can then send out for bid?
Yep. So that design process in there too, it's going to consist of multiple meetings. It's typically 2 to 3 meetings with whoever's designated it as the board. We can make the decisions in there for a final presentation of what the interior looks like. There's going to be little tweaks and changes in there. There's never there will be a final plan once we get into permitting, but in this process, there'll be things where, I wonder if we shifted that window over, or if the bar came out a little bit.
I'm talking bigger things than a little.
Okay.
I'm talking more significant questions. And I said this repeatedly at every meeting. I said, okay, we're bidding it at 1.8, that's fine, but now we have to sit down and discuss what we really want.
Yes.
So,
how do we do that?
Can you iterate?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so some questions that I have that I brought this up, let me get the plan up. Again, this is my personal, and if I can get the right answer, I have, and if that's the way the community wants to go, I don't have issues with that, so I'm not trying to step my own opinions into this, but it's just my questions that I have to get, that need the answer.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't like, I think the bar is too big.
The physical bar?
The physical
or
bar is
the
too
physical
big,
bar?
based upon all of the other communities that were referenced. We've now, and I've heard that, oh, these tables are not the right size tables for the room, but so it's gonna be different, but based upon these designs, these tables in the dining room are very close together, and we're losing about 30 or 40 dining spaces, so where does that, how do we make that up? We've got the wall, we've closed off the wall from the front entrance into the atrium area in the back. Well, now to get to the, now to go to the bathroom, you've got to walk into the, basically into the dining room and around, which is difficult. We have a walkway going out into, from the salad bar area to the outside, which seems to make little sense because people, we don't want people coming from the pool into the salad because they're not going to dress appropriately. So why do we do that? The new flex space has very little table space in it, the way it's set up right now. I don't know if that could be reconfigured, but does that make sense to spend all that money in closing something in to gain for 20 spaces? I mean, I'm just trying to make sure that we, when we go forward with this, we accommodate all this. Like I said, the tables in the dining room, some of them are very, very, very close together in this plan. It's great to say, oh yeah, we can use all these satellite rooms, but right now the satellite room is set up for meetings most of the day. So that means every time we have dinner, we have to change the room to be able to handle the tables, and then during the day, change it back to meetings. Go back to tables, go back to meetings, go back to tables, because we've lost all of this dining room space by the configuration of this larger bar and whatever. The 3 or 4 reference bars had 6, 8 stools. We've got 17 here now. You've got, yeah, there's 17
No,
stools.
if you go to Boca Royale.
I looked, it didn't look that big in the pictures, maybe there are more. We've got wait staff now coming in to use the bar where people are walking into the kitchen. I mean, into the restaurant, is the same place that you have the service bar. It just seems to be, you want the service bars, but where do you put it? I don't know. Once you're back in LaSalle, how do you get back out? Because if people are at the bar and the tables, there's really no walk space.
I think that,
So, I mean,
something like that to me is an operational thing, that we would take up with Hampton. I think the
But-
larger question,
But that's,
so maybe question for John is, you know, how do we resolve something? Is that something you can help with, or we just have to work it out among ourselves?
No, I would be a part of that process.
because I'm looking for feedback. I'm not saying I have, those are my questions, I'm not
Well,
saying.
here's what I would say about the bar then, for starters, is that consistently, the number one thing we heard in the 8 or 9 focus groups we had is we need a lot more bar seats.
Oh, we've got 4. So,
We've got,
yeah, okay.
And by the way, they take up all the space at the bar where the servers need to go. I mean, one of the single biggest operational issues we have is the ability of people to get drinks. And that's for 2 reasons. A, because the bar is too small, and B, because people would rather sit in the bar where it's casual, and then they're in the way because they want to have their burgers and they want to be in the bar. And I think those are, in my opinion, other than the fact that everybody loves the idea of being outdoors, is that those are the 2 key things that we have to
I'm not
address.
saying that we don't need to have more bar space, but I think, but do we want more bar space, bar seats, or do we want more tables within the bar?
So can I ask
That,
a question?
Yeah.
Did Hampton take a look at this, and from an operational perspective, were they comfortable with this?
Well, Hampton has seen it, and I think
Okay.
that's a question for Jamie when
Okay.
he's here that I think would probably be sussed out in connection with the 2 to 3 design meetings
Right.
you're talking about.
So while I respect your opinion, Rich, I think the question is operationally, does Hampton see this as, like, this layout as a detriment in any way, shape, or form? And what recommendations would they make possibly to change it, or is it good as is? Like, I would trust, Hampton does this stuff all the time, so I would trust Hampton's opinion on this. And I don't know if Jamie scoured it or not, Jill, but
It's their opinion, but ultimately it's our money, so we have,
Understood, but
so,
they're the
and again,
experts.
and again, that's why I'm asking John,
Yeah.
I'm just asking questions, I'm not saying I
Yeah,
have
no,
the answer.
I know.
And
Yeah.
the same thing like when I asked Hampton is, okay, what's the ROI? Because we spent $40-something thousand for a pizza oven, and we're selling 4 pizzas a day. So the ROI projections does not work, did not work out for pizza ovens. So I just want to make sure if we're going to 1.8, we also need to see a realistic ROI, and are we cannibalizing Tiki or a restaurant to
Well, I
generate all
think
this?
I think the cannibalizing question is a fair one.
Yes.
I don't think, at least, I mean, you're talking to somebody who had to deal with ROI stuff all the time, and you probably do too. I think we need to be careful that we define that not only as, you're adding 73 seats and that's gonna be X amount of revenue per year,
It's a lifestyle, it's a lifestyle thing as well.
It's not just lifestyle, it's property values.
Yeah, oh, I agree, that's all part,
Property values.
and I am all for, doing something. I'm just wondering, if
Yeah,
we're
fair enough.
gonna go to this, I just want to make sure these questions are being answered. And the answers and they make the answers to all the questions. Those are just the things that I saw that.
So is that the kind of thing, John, that you typically see resolved in the design meetings, or do we have other resolution we need to make before we get there?
It would be resolved in those meetings,
Okay,
but I need to make sure that the team that's in those meetings can make those decisions.
yes, understood.
So somehow Hampton wouldn't have to be here for us in those meetings.
Yeah, they could be in those meetings, they could be virtual meetings, they could be in-person meetings, we could do a little bit of both. Personally, I feel like virtual is helpful because you can be anywhere, and we're all looking at the same plan, the same screen in there, which is helpful. They can be recorded, shared later, and stuff like that. A lot of the questions you brought up, Rich, we've been through them all, and studied different options and how do we have a resolution for it. Was that expressed to everybody or to you? But there are reasons for, as Joe mentioned, there's a reason that the number of seats are at the bar, and that was because of feedback that was heard. Now, can it be trimmed back to 12, 15? Probably, even maybe even less than that. But is that meeting the needs that you guys had heard and based on the report in there? We talked about travel distance from the furthest point, being in this room and using the restroom versus being in the new La Sala and having to walk through. Basically, a shorter distance from La Sala in the new plan from having to come from the furthest point in any of the private dining areas. So those were things that we were also weighing too. Okay, we can cut a path through behind the bar and get to the bathrooms, but we sacrifice some storage for that. So we have to make a decision. What do we sacrifice, the travel distance or the storage?
And that also goes back to the whole global aspect of the club, because we first met starting about renovating the locker rooms and creating storage back there. So if we have bathrooms and locker rooms that we don't need, and we plan on doing the storage there, do we need the storage here? So I'm saying we've got people working there's work being done in silos that might be able to be fixed in a global consideration, which the LaSalle group was not aware of necessarily what was happening in the locker room per se. And
well, the LaSala, let's be clear here, the LaSala group's remit was to hear from the community and gather that and to gather information from outside the list. That's the four corners of that group.
So that's fine. That's what I'm saying. They may not have been aware. So the question is, can some of these things be resolved with the locker rooms? Because the locker rooms have to get redone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Rather than looking at this piece and this piece in two separate pieces, it's.
So what you're talking about is not something that's going to be done in a design meeting. I don't think so. That's something that precedes a design meeting. That's a philosophical approach.
I mean, we all talked about redoing the locker rooms. I mean, that was a conversation we had, and we put it off. It was put off for the sole purpose of we should not do the locker rooms until we know what LaSalle is going to be. Now that we have an idea what LaSalle is going to be, and the whole rest of the club really needs to have the updates done because it's all being touched and done at the same time. Can we accomplish some of the things that we need in La Sala by doing the locker rooms? I don't
I
know.
would say not, because
Well,
this is
the
the only
storage-
place we generate revenue.
No, the storage, I'm saying the storage areas. If we want to get rid of locker space, we want to get rid of we want to get rid of showers. That was the conversation that we all had. And, that was being addressed on the locker room renovation. So,
That could be a further discussion. I had the advantage of being involved with both of them.
Right. Mhm.
And I think on the operations side with Hampton involved too, and understanding that, what would be the appropriate storage for the locker area?
Right.
And how does that interact with dining area, with the bar area? What do I need back of house in the bar? That storage area behind the bar is bar, dining, and attic access. There's kind of like three things combined in there. That could be, our kickoff meeting could just be defining the project, right? It could be saying, we have all this information that we've gathered from the last 2.5 years or
Okay.
so.
Okay.
And how do we narrow it down? Because
So what's
it is
the
defining the scope in what the project is. And then discussing, I think, the functions, the actual use of the space, like the door that goes out to the pool. That was more of a function of the staff being able to have direct access and try to not interrupt, the main hallway or locker room and cut through there or something.
Right.
But it could be, is that door?
without having those conversations.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But the feedback could be, that door needs to be identified as staff use only. It is not gonna be this pool access door, people coming in and out and disrupting. And how do we do that? It could be key card access, punch card, that's only for the staff and you can't go in and out. But there's details in there, but that we can figure out, I think, in that design meeting. And so defining the actual scope moving forward would be extremely helpful. I think the bulk of it is gonna be handled in what we've done so far. But there will be need to define exactly why did we do this? What are we looking at here? Does this meet all of our needs? We talked about enclosing the garden room, expanding that, making almost private dining, operable doors, large operable doors to gain views and light. There's been talks about the screened area being, does it need to be as big? Right now, we have it designed as what I would call a double loaded corridor. You basically have seating on both sides and you have an aisle down the middle. Now, it's very flexible. So if we said, hey, we put tables out there and people really want more lounge seating. Well, now maybe that becomes a one loaded corridor because we got the lounge access. You'll have to determine, are we really selling anything if we're just lounging for half the day out there or not? And maybe we do because of that. We keep people here and encourage them to, eat, drink, hang out, invite people over, things like that.
Yeah, and I think this is why we really need Hampton at the ground level on that, because, if you're gonna have a bigger area that needs to be, serviced by people, you're changing the head count of the front of house and possibly back of house.
And also rearranging furniture all day long. I mean, those are operational.
No, he's talking about outside.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, but then also inside, the same thing. If we're losing all this dining room space, and we have to rely on these side rooms more, which are being in card rooms and meeting rooms during the day, and then dining rooms again at night. There's a lot of labor involved resetting these things up each day. So I just want to make sure that if we're going to go forward on this, that we really understand these things, because obviously,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ken.
Okay, thanks. I've actually got a lot to say about this. I had meetings with Nancy and Bob about this. We've talked about a number of things. I look at this as we have two main objectives from a resident standpoint: more casual dining and more outside dining. So, and to Richard's point, operationally, and we should talk with Hampton more about this, but from Greg's perspective, he felt that this was going to be adding some level of additional cost to service this configuration. So that's just something, he commented on about servicing. What I talked about with Nancy and Bob was, what if we, to meet the objectives, what if we left the bar area as designed? But, but eliminated, made what you're calling the flex space, the outside dining space, and not going into that outside dining area as big as we have it. One of my other concerns about that was the redesign of the back of the building and the physical design of the building to accommodate the screening and all of that was going to make some fairly significant structural changes to the building that bothered me. We sort of lost the effect of the architecture of the building. So I was concerned about that. But by doing what I'm suggesting, it actually, and they agreed with this, dropped the cost of this by about $500,000. And without going into more detail, I can go into more detail, but what I would then suggest was taking some of that money and looking at what we can do out in the tiki area to make that more, make food servicing that area more efficient by trying to figure out, can we put some minimalistic grill, sandwich making, pub menu out there so that we're not running back and forth all the time to service the tiki area and save a significant amount of operating costs that way, but still meet what the survey respondents were looking for. And I think, if Nancy's there, she can explain what I was talking about more effectively probably than by over the phone.
She just ran out the door.
So one of the things I actually asked Brian, I said, with this additional seating, would the kitchen that we have today be sufficient? And he said, yes, when the dining room was open, and I'm not advocating one thing one way or the other, this was a conversation with Brian. He mentioned that it would be a little bit more difficult to sustain the tiki bar and this with the kitchen size.
That's right.
So, so whichever way we decide to go with this, I think we need to also make sure that we keep that kitchen size.
And Hampton's gonna know, they're gonna know
Okay,
that.
all right,
And so I
so-
think, but John, I wanted to ask you, building on what Ken mentioned, because we can have the discussion about the flex space and the size of the outdoors and everything else. And I understand where Ken's coming from, because I love as you know, I love the architecture of this building, and I think it's made even more lovely with the getting rid of Grandma Yellow. I can say that now.
You can say that, yes.
But
As I say, Grandma Yellow's way.
is it, well, that's a different when we go into the design piece of it, are we also talking like the furniture, because Nancy's done a great job of, providing the counts of, the tables and the chairs that we currently have, because we've got, and this was not cheap stuff. I mean, this was, is it in the design meetings where we also talk about other things that can help us understand what's driving the underlying costs of the project? Is that done in design meeting or is that done later?
I think we have enough information now to examine that.
Okay.
I didn't bring the numbers, the breakdown that we had from LJ Silva, but they broke it out based on the scope of work we wanted them to do.
Right.
And there is a way, if you said, the numbers 1.8, let's cut out $500,000. Where's that at?
Right.
if it was just an interior renovation and we said, how do we cut off $500,000, that's gonna be a little tricky. But we're talking about square footage or project scope out of that. I also feel like that outside area, it could happen down the road. It doesn't need, like, there's an interior project, reconfiguration, connection with the dining room, access outside. There's a project there that doesn't change the impact really on the kitchen, in my opinion. It's still servicing the same area. And it can be considered separate from the outside. I also feel like with the outside project, it's always been a question or concern, what is this gonna look like? Is it gonna change, the architecture? I do love the architecture as well. The only thing I would want out there is something that can enhance this building. If it's, and that would be getting to the point of saying, like, we need to see it, we need to look at it. We need to also, in that design, there's some inspiration imagery that goes along with it. How I work, yes, we're all visual, so, having imagery that says, yeah, I could see something like that out there, or if that first meeting is, no, that's not really the direction we want to go. We don't want Palladian wood beam and more, Italian countryside feel to it. We want, more of the architecture that's here. That's fine. That's where we want to like kind of define where we're going to go, and then see what that looks like. And that also could be broken out into a separate project on its own, just to say, well, let's do a design study on this. That's just a conceptual design study visually. We're only working on 2D plans right now.
Right, yeah, and I think that's in my opinion, that's a critical, because I'm sorry, I'm dominating, but, as I've talked to people, because it's two-dimensional and there's been a gross number tossed around that doesn't have other elements in it from our financing perspective that helps bring the number down. But I think it's going to be really helpful for our ability to communicate to residents what their money is getting them, that the concept is, what it's going to look like, kind of in color and in 3D. So typically, at what point in the process? I mean, obviously, that's after we go to something that's been sent out to bid.
No, we need that before.
Before.
Yeah, I would prefer to have that right now. But but the way we kind of stepped forward, tiny baby steps to this point. We didn't jump into that full kind of design, but no, that's before we bid it. I want you guys to know what you're gonna get, and then price it.
So if we like the architecture to the, like, just for example, if we like, everybody likes the architecture, can we keep this as is and just add the cage to it? Without changing the roof lines and the exteriors?
And that is.
And that would obviously then drop costs dramatically.
Yeah.
It's just a cage.
Yep. So that is one of the options in there. I would say, like, is it just a cage, or is it a roof that maybe resembles some of the architecture and we're screened in there? So those columns, maybe they are just the aluminum cage columns in there. But is there something that can accentuate this, make it, enhance it even better by having this, outdoor space onto it, and having something to reference too. Having that imagery or, an aesthetic that's consistent, classic design. I say classic, not classical, but like a timeless design. I think that's what we want in this building. You mentioned, what are residents getting and out of the project. You also mentioned earlier the value and, your property values. It is something to consider. It's a huge thing to consider. If I live here too, what does my community offer? And what I'm gonna put towards this, is it going to make it more desirable to live here? So, and you can also weigh that out too and be like, I don't need that. We don't need that in our community. We got lots of different options here. That's kind of, low lying fruit. We don't need that.
Well, the good news is, we've done, a fair amount of the legwork with all the focus groups and everything else. Cheryl, you've been quiet. I know you got a 12 o'clock hard stop. Well, I'm sure we'll be done before then, but do you need to jump in on this?
Actually, I am fine with what's being discussed, and I like the idea that we'll be able to change into the future. Right now, I'm just listening because I know there's going to be more time to comment and make changes.
So I'm just gonna jump in and then say, to the other supervisors, I mean, and Mary, to you too, John, are we at a point where we're ready to, set up design meetings? And is that something we do? And I believe in the estimates that we provided, Nancy might remember, did we have a plug for design fees in the overall budget? We did, didn't we? Okay, yeah, Linda's nodding her head too, and I think everybody else is. So, how does that work?
So.
How do we set that up?
Yeah, so our first meeting wouldn't necessarily be probably design. It would be more of a discussion and
Okay.
defining the scope of the project. The group that we've had to date, we have a bulk of information, and now whoever that next group is gonna be involved with and being Hampton and stuff, they're coming from first time seeing anything, right? So that initial meeting would be kind of review of where we're at, voice the concerns around the room, decide how we can either resolve those or they have been resolved, and just kind of clarification on it, and define the work. And then we would set up the deliverables for the next meetings out of that. I kind of know in my head, I've done this enough times, right? That first meeting, there's gonna be some plan changes that come out of that, okay? And need to make the plan changes, then come back. Quickly, we can move into though, what this is starting to look like physically, in there in terms of the 3D. But we would set up probably every 2 weeks or something, we would have a scheduled meeting. I first thought like 2 to 3 weeks and then have some revisions, maybe another 2 weeks, but it might make more sense to stay on a consistent 2-week schedule. And then from that first meeting, we'll define what's the expectations for the next two.
Okay, and that works for us because we've got a 2-week, standing 2-week schedule, and we always have an hour workshop at the beginning, which, we can put agenda items in there.
Yep. So. And defining who's gonna be in that workshop, or who's gonna be on the calls and in the meetings.
Sure,
that would be very beneficial to make sure we're hearing the voices that need to be heard.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Or they're representing the voices that need to be heard.
Well, I mean, as a start, and, I think it's, you've heard a fair amount from the people who were sharing with you the resident feedback, but I think it'll be, Hampton, and I need to define, we don't have a replacement general manager yet, but we have Jamie Selby, who you may not, maybe.
I think I did.
Did you meet Jamie? He's up at Laurel Oak up in Sarasota.
Okay. I think he was on the call virtually the last.
Oh, I think you might be right. So,
Yeah.
and Jamie's done a lot of reno up there at Laurel
Okay.
Oak. And then, the 5 supervisors, and these are always, I'm kind of saying this for the record, these are always in publicly noticed meetings, so people can watch.
Jill?
Yes?
Just one more comment.
Yeah.
I also talked to Bob and Nancy about not having such a permanent divider between the bar area and main dining, because of hosting larger events, where we'd be forced to cut down seating.
Yeah.
I gave them a couple of suggestions. I know Bob went up to Madison 41
I'm there all the time.
and looked at how they separate their bar area from their dining area, which looked very flexible, very inexpensive, flexible, and he liked it. So
Okay.
just another thing to think about.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
And to go along with what Ken had said last time, I mean, I have, like I said, I have questions, and if they're legitimate answers, I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that we're doing our right job, but also to Ken's notion, we also have to think about, is there a way that we can get what we want with a plan B or an alternate version that gets us most of what we want for considerably less money, like giving up a little bit here and a little bit there, because 1.8 is a lot of money, and 1.8 is never 1.8.
Well, there was a contingency in a huge contingency.
Yeah.
Huge, like
I'm
15%.
I'm well aware, but
Yeah,
it's, by the time that, we get pull the trigger on this, and it's gonna be probably, I can't imagine we're gonna be doing work next summer. It'd be very tight to start next summer. Do you think this is possible by next summer?
I think if the schedules we talked about, we want to hit May 1st of next year to start construction. That's typically what we try to do. People are leaving and the bulk of the residents aren't here, and try to wrap up as much as possible by end of October. We know there's a little cushion there too, because it's not October, November, December, but for sure by the first of the year is when you want everything actually. Mid-December at the latest is really what you
Can
want.
I ask you a question?
It is still doable. If we were having this conversation in October, that I would be getting a little nervous about that. Yeah.
So my question is this, this team did an amazing job putting all this information together, without a doubt. And this is a representation of what the data was from those meetings. And so the question then becomes, do we sacrifice what the overall comments and feedback were for cost? So we got a design here that is laid out based on our resident feedback. And this design says it's $1.8 million. Are we gonna say we're gonna redo this design to save $300,000, or are we gonna give the community what they want?
Well, I think what I would throw in here is that overall number includes things like new furniture
Okay.
everywhere.
Okay,
And I think,
I guess structurally, I'm
well,
thinking.
but here's what I would say to that, because I happen to agree with you, because I wanted to ask John though, because I think that ensuring we've investigated this thoroughly is equally important. Do clients ever go out with option A and option B when they go out for bid, or is it?
They usually don't.
Okay,
And we'd have to really see, like, is option B really that different in terms of the cost?
I
Like,
see.
what
Okay.
are we gonna say?
Yeah.
If we're trying to cut it in half, that's a different thing. You gotta cut scope out of that project. But, if we're trying to just streamline what we want in the project and, select a little bit cheaper carpets, because carpet is a large square foot number, and not affect as much structural as we, minimize that. Those are big things that we can kind of control in there.
Because my sense is that where I hear you're coming from, Rich, and where Ken is coming from is, and I think it's a really, really fair point, is how we can make sure that we're getting the biggest bang for the buck.
Absolutely.
It's your point. When you ask people, what do you want? You didn't ask them, what do you want, but what does it cost? When I go out and buy a new car, I want a Ferrari.
I get it.
I don't have a Ferrari, or, I looked at the Audi, I looked at the BMW, you know what? For $40,000 less, I got the Volvo. It's got almost everything else. It's not quite, but I saved a third.
No, I get it.
So,
Sure.
so when you ask people, what do you want versus what do you want based upon the cost, you get a very different calculus. And I just want to make sure that
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure that we're covering that base.
Yes.
And I'm not saying we're changing anything.
Sure, I understand.
I just want to make sure that we understand what it is that we're looking at,
Yep.
what we're doing,
Fair
how we're going forward,
Yep.
and that everybody's best interest is served. Because just because
Yeah, right.
I want the 10,000 square foot house doesn't mean I'm buying the 10,000.
No, but I think to be fair, and, the way the focus groups were run anyway was to get people to blue sky it, and pardon me for using that term, but that's, because but it's not just that, this is such a unique property, right, where we sit, with the woods and everything else, and people love to come up here, and I think, so that was the fat part of the funnel, and now we're coming to the narrower part of the funnel.
And like I said, I've been to LaSalle It's too small. I agree something needs to be done. The question is, I just want to make sure if we're looking at it,
Sure.
that we're just answering especially if I'm going to be approving
I
1.8.
understand,
I
yeah.
want to make sure that I'm
Absolutely.
comfortable with that, not just because somebody gave me a plan and said, here it is, and nothing against the people who did the solid work. They've had a lot of meetings and a lot of discussions, a lot of things, and I've had 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there in the course of 2 years. To sit and go ahead and say 1.8 on an hour's
Sure,
discussion,
fair enough.
I just can't do that.
I understand that, I understand that. I have a lot of faith in the people that do things, so, but I get your opinion, I get your side, I totally understand, Rich. I want to make sure we have that right balance as well. And we consider the longevity of what we're gonna do here.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't want to short side ourselves in any way, shape, or form, and if it costs us a few $100,000 more to do that, and it gives the River Club that longevity, then to me, it's worth making the investment.
We've got to do, if we're gonna,
So that's it,
yeah,
that's
if we're
all.
gonna do it right, if we're gonna do it, we need
Let's
to do
do,
it
we
right.
gotta do it right.
I think we all agree.
I think so too.
So, John, I mean, I'm almost gonna withdraw then that question that I asked you about option A and B. I mean, hearing us, do you feel like we're at a point where we could, start the kickoff and then move into design?
I think we have to, that's the only way to keep this thing
Jump
moving
off
forward.
Jump off the cliff, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I we studied this really in depth with the team involved, and I would say they were very critical on both sides of it. There was always feedback of, are we sure about this? And the project got back to the spirit of really the study that went out. Because we were looking at different options and everything, and it was like, this really isn't what's at the core of it, which was basically bringing everybody together, a social aspect in this building with dining and bar. So there was a lot of feedback in that, and considerations with costs. But we also, one of the things that we benefit from with having pricing, you could break that down to a square foot cost and say, what does it cost to renovate space inside the building? What's it cost to do space outside? And to me, that's the easiest way and the quickest way to get a rough number really quick. Yes, they have it bid out, they'll give you the exact number of what it's gonna cost. But you can get a good idea based on what the information we have and know, like, all right, how much do we want to renovate in here? Because we got a number. If we have a target of let's say it's 1.5, how do we get to 1.5 based on everything that we know here? I don't think we need to do option A and B and send it out.
Okay, that's the
I think we can decide, like, all right, this is where we're gonna end up. Now, if we end up pricing it and it comes under that, and we say, oh, hang on, we could have done more. I think that would also be in discussion of, let's say, an alternate, like, we love, half the people love closing in the garden room, and maybe that doesn't fit the budget right now. But that's also something, in my opinion, that could be done later. It can be something that's, even if we did the whole project and 2 years down the road, man, that room and closing it, that would have been, just nailed this project completely. Well, then let's do it at that point. Instead of looking back, and we should have, we made a decision not to do it because of A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Like, we need solid, supporting reasons to make decisions.
Yeah, because that's one of the, almost to Rich's point, concern I have is like, we're dying.
Right.
We could have done it.
We could have done it, yeah.
We could have done it, and,
Yeah, Jill,
yeah,
I think we also really need to talk to Hampton a lot more, and Chef Brian in front of the house about servicing both the TP area and this design area and what it means.
I agree, Ken.
yeah, I think you're 100% right. Because in my opinion, we missed the boat, we should have renovated it back here and not
Yeah,
up to
absolutely.
TV, but,
I agree with that.
but, so maybe is that, in your opinion, John, something that we would cash out in connection with the with the kickoff, scope design.
I think it could be a line item in that. It doesn't have to be something that we're gonna design or study right now. It could just be a valid concern, and that's something that needs to pay attention to, moving forward. It might not be part of that scope of the project, but say, the tiki bar would relieve, the function and, the service of everything if we did a project there. We could all agree, like, yes, it would, but that's not the project right now. Or maybe it does have to come in.
And I think also, Ken, I think simultaneously, I know you guys, we talked about it, I don't know how far along you are, about how this thing is gonna get financed, because obviously that is integral into this whole thing, because if we can figure out how to defer these payments, defer the cost of this over 15 years versus hitting the residents who live here today with the whole thing, it's a dramatically different aspect. So it's something that we need to look at as well, because if we can't finance it longer term and you pay as you go, pay as you live here, as opposed to pay once, that will help free up money to make better decisions.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that more in finance committee.
Okay.
But the combination of existing reserves that were earmarked for these areas over the next several years, and I didn't go out too far, but the combination of that and borrowing from other reserves until, like when the debt goes, part of the debt goes away, 2033, I think it is. We can stretch this out to accomplish that. Personally, I don't see the need for an assessment to do this under either scenario.
Okay.
So, but we need to work that out in a little more detail.
Okay.
I mean, that's great news, and that dramatically changes, decision-making process.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
So
in the.
Current design, they can't finance it.
What's that, Ken?
I like the architect possibility of, facing this. So you do what I was talking about potentially in phase one, and still have the opportunity to expand the outside dining in phase two. And see how, are you accomplishing the goals in phase one? Because the bar area as it's designed in the way I look at it stays exactly the way you have it designed. It's really just not spending the money to go too far outside. Just thinking about Florida weather and the changes, how much it's going to get used when you already have some outside dining in tiki, and then combining that with operational decisions, building design changes, all of that concerns me. My first impression when I went over the plan with the committee on Essie and Bob was I really liked it. And then as we talked about what would happen to the building structure, it really struck me as, wow, I didn't imagine that we were going to be changing the whole back side of design of the building essentially. And that bothered me. But you'll work that out in the design phase, I assume.
Yeah, I think, so that was a question for you, John, then, is how do we have a bunch of publicly, certainly through September, I think we've got our publicly noticed meetings scheduled. Is that something I can, if the other supervisors are okay with me doing it, I can get some options from John on when we could get this kicked off? Sure. And,
Whatever.
yeah, okay.
Great.
Sooner the better. Sooner the better,
If we're gonna try to hit next summer, sooner is better than later.
Yep.
Now also, we'll know more tomorrow, but at the same time next summer, we very well might be doing the roof. So that is, we have to think about, does that help us or does that hurt us?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But it's something that's gonna come up,
Yeah,
more than likely.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's not a money thing, it's just a timing, sequencing, tiles flying
Well,
around.
it could be a money thing, if we wind up doing some structural things, the roof,
Well,
the roof work might,
but for the purposes of the record, I don't want to confuse people that,
I get it.
you know, as Ken has said, the money's there for the roof.
No, but I'm saying, but we might be able to tie, if
Oh, I
we
understand
wind
what
up
you're
doing
saying.
some
Okay.
construction
Okay,
for the LaSalle and it involves the roof, but I'm not ripping off the roof anyway,
Yeah.
do I save,
sequencing thing.
do I,
Yeah,
it's a sequencing
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and do I save time and money by combining those two
Sure,
things as
I
opposed to
understand, I'm with you now.
redoing the new roof, ripping it off and doing it again?
2 years later, yeah, we don't want to do that.
But that would, no, just- You know what I was gonna say, I'm not gonna say it. So then, John, I can work with you on, you know, what works with your schedule.
Yeah, we could jump in as early as next week, to have a meeting, and I don't know what would work best for you, virtual or in person. Either one would work for me.
Okay, yeah, so our next meeting is, I think it's July 13th.
Yes.
You're gonna be on the road again.
Yes, I will be on the road at that point.
Even if it is an in-person with as many people as possible here.
Okay,
I'd probably have my laptop at this meeting too, talking to whoever's there.
well, you're right down in Englewood, you
Yes,
haven't
yeah.
gone anywhere,
No, I'm
so.
not
Okay.
Okay, so, let's put.
You can't go to Starbucks?
I will be driving, that's the problem, yeah, driving.
And so what I think we should do is try to get as much of our business. How much time would we need for something like this? Are we talking a couple hours?
Hour to hour and a half. And it's also depending on what we want to get accomplished there. If we know it's only an hour, let's just hit it hard.
Do you want me to send you like the questions that I have in writing?
Yeah, that'd be great, yeah.
I mean, Rich, I can
Oh.
listen. My problem is I just don't want to have to participate because of the fact that we're actually physically driving and then you don't need to hear Amy yelling at me, telling I missed my exit.
So, then if you all supervisors are okay with me working with John on the timing, I want to go back to my own notes and see what else is on the docket for the 13th of July.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out the timing. Is your morning free on the 13th?
On the 13th.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have the email, John, if you could,
Yeah, I could send out my new email
yeah, that would be
to this group.
great.
So yeah, I will call in. I'll listen. I won't actively
Okay.
participate if
Well,
that's
it'll be
okay.
recorded, so then you can go back.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is available.
is that okay? Is everyone
So,
okay?
okay, all right.
Will you have a quorum, Joe?
Yeah. Good question. Cheryl, are you here the 13th?
Yes, I am, and actually, I would appreciate John's email because I have some questions as well that I would like to include in that discussion. And as far as what's on the agenda for the 13th, we have a landscape plan and bid, and then I also have the charters done. So I will be bringing those.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that should be, the charter should be fairly
That
quick.
landscape,
Should be easy, yeah.
we put them on notice and they haven't responded.
Yeah, that's
I'm not
true.
approving anything.
That's true, so, okay. All right, so, yeah, let me noodle the timing. Do you have a hard stop, John, that morning?
Currently, no. So I won't put anything in there, but that would be a meeting that would probably extend or could extend. You know, and if it takes 2 hours, it takes 2 hours.
Yeah, fair enough.
If we allot the time for it, we don't use it, that's fine.
Okay, so I'm thinking, because what we can do too is we don't necessarily need to have staff stay, so we don't need to have Belinda and Andy stay for that either.
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, meeting / workshop.
Well, yeah, so we'll just say, you know, I think we can probably do it that way. I'll talk to Belinda about it. We have enough time to renotice it. It has to be renoticed. Okay, so I think we've, this has been so helpful.
Thank you.
John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
I wasn't sure if it was headed in that direction
No,
at
no,
first,
no.
I was like, oh, we're in trouble.
You
But
kind
there's-
of had that look.
Yeah, no. And I'll give you a little insight. This is something that a lot of different, we because I work with a lot of hospitality, this is very common, especially like the tiki bar grill and stuff like that. I mean, I hear that, I've got half a dozen projects that are like that. Do we do a pizza oven? Do we do an outdoor grill? Do we, we gotta hire staff, we gotta do this, and that.
Fire suppression.
Like, it's a common problem.
Yeah.
The thing that I find really interesting is the membership and the information and feedback from the different locations. Like, there's a different group here, in this community than half a mile down the road, right? Bellin Park wants something very different than, what this community wants. At the same time, you wanna make sure you're not necessarily keeping up with the Joneses, but you're providing the residents here with what they want. And they don't have to look anywhere else and fit in with this community and not try to blend in with another community where it just didn't feel right. So it's very common. I'm excited to get into these meetings and to find this even more. I feel like we have such a wealth of knowledge that the whole team put into with that project, which was amazing. And it's a good it's a good starting point for this section.
Good.
We're not starting from scratch at all, so
No.
I'm very confident in all that.
Okay, great. So, then my to-do is we'll talk about timing, and then maybe I can just shoot you off the emails of the other supervisors, so you can share your email address.
Yeah, and then if we share whatever comments, that you might have, Ken might have, before that meeting, and as long as I'm able to kind of.
Yeah, you don't have to respond to the email.
We'll get them in there.
At least we'll have a question in advance, and because we start getting individual conversations, we'll, I don't monopolize your time and anything, so, yes.
Okay.
Sounds
good.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate it.
having
Good
me.
to see you again.
You're continuing your meeting, right? So.
We are.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Talk to you
Sarah.
soon.
You don't have your new card yet, do you?
What's that? I don't know. Yeah.
Costera.
By the next meeting, yes. That's how my daughter pronounced it.
Oh, is that right?
How do you say this? Costera. And I'm like,
Costera.
Spanish classes are working good.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Good seeing
John.
everyone.
See you soon, buddy. Thanks. Okay. So Cheryl has 8 minutes left.
Okay.
So let me get I'm gonna throw all my paper on the floor because it's blocking up what I have here. Don't laugh.
That's why I hate paper.
So there were,
2 other items.
yeah, there was actually a third and somehow it got missed.
Oh, okay.
But, you all saw changing gears, I'm on now, the request from Mary Ralph Foster.
Yes.
The hurricane response team request. Keith and I had a little chit chat about this when he took me out to see the lion paint job.
Fabulous.
It is fabulous. Essentially, Mary has asked if we could put a speed bump in the appropriate spot on the visitor side of the guard shack. Are you all okay with that?
Yes, totally. I mean, it's below a threshold that requires a vote, right?
Yeah, and Keith, your opinion is we should just do it. And this protects the volunteers.
Well, I mean, and listen, and being one of the people out there that almost got hit.
Yeah.
So it's,
Sorry, Rich.
I mean, across the butt, I mean, missed my toes by that.
You do have big feet.
Yes, but you don't go 30 miles an hour through that.
No, you don't.
You don't.
Oh, my God.
I just want to, is it gonna be an issue for all of the landscaping, for all of the cars and trucks and stuff that go through there?
It's just gonna be the same height as all the others that they go over, so it's not a.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just,
And if they're going over that fast, they deserve to.
I'm just saying this, I've driven through other communities and we are getting to have a lot of speed bumps.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
And I just don't know why we're experiencing the issue when
With
other
the
places,
speeding?
with speeding, when other places are not, and I just.
KCQ Road's got the problem, but I don't want to get into that. But yeah, we do have an issue. But yeah, so I mean, I think for protection of not only the volunteers during hurricane season, but also the staff in the gatehouse, I am perfectly okay with it. It really doesn't impact us as residents.
Okay. So then that's board direction?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let Mary know. The golf cart ID discussion is probably something that we need to defer,
Okay.
because we all need to be a part of that. Barbara's looking at me, I won't let it die,
Well-
Barbara, I swear.
We've discussed it before.
Well, I think personally, what I would like to discuss at a future meeting is, I think at the very least, because enforcement, no doubt, is not easy. I think identification, on any golf carts that are intending to use the River Club parking lot is a good place to start. So if,
I'm all for that, and we discussed it before, I'm all for
I
that.
see, I had it in my head that not everybody on the board felt that we should go through this.
So can I comment? I
Please.
think that the question was, do we have liability if we start logging golf carts? And I remember something, but I can't remember what it was, so it's
That's a
probably a
good
question
point.
for Andy during our next meeting.
Well, what Hampton said is we have liability if we don't.
Okay.
But I think, let me do the following so that we can be better prepared to have a discussion on it. Let me do that digging with, yeah, I've got a lot of information from Andy. I can also go to, Jamie, I know has done a lot of work on this, and John Coleman up at Stonegate is the one who made that comment to me, that we have Hampton's property at Stonegate up in Orlando, that we could have a liability if we don't.
Okay.
So I work with Andy and with Hampton.
And possibly Belinda too.
Sure, yeah.
Belinda might be aware of it, some.
Yeah, you know, I guess one of the reasons, and you probably heard this from me, was that what actions we're gonna be taking if we invest in having tags for the golf carts. And I believe that enforcement is critical, I do. And if it's a liability issue, then I 100% think we should do it and get golf carts registered. Get the tags for the golf carts and just do it.
Because you know, Barbara and I have talked about this kind of ad nauseum. I mean, yesterday I was in my dining room and see a 6-year-old, literally 6-year-old, driving a golf cart, lime green, with the dad in the passenger seat and grandma and another kid on the back. 6 years old, maybe 7. If at least if we had known it was tag number, 62,
Right.
then you could say, I'm sure you're not aware,
Exactly.
blah, blah, blah. So.
Yeah, I'm
Right,
all
okay,
for
all right, well, let me
either
do
way.
some
Yes.
work. Maybe quickly, with Cheryl's 3 minutes left. We never distributed the survey results. So I'm wondering, are you okay if I put together, I'll just take the email from last year's survey distribution and we get this out to the community?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Great, okay.
Great.
We're open, so everybody should see it.
Yep,
Absolutely.
party on. So there were 2 other really quick things, because Bill got to that, Cheryl got to that. So first of all, as you saw, I'm working with David Moy on the whole telecom question with, the voicemail systems, the internet, and possibly the mobile phones. What you need to know is there's a contract with Sangoma, which relates to the River Club only voicemail, landline and voicemail systems. We're paying a lot of money to Sangoma. It's, I think it's about $2,000 a month.
That's crazy.
And so in order to cancel the contract, which renews automatically on September 15th, we need to provide a 60-day notice of cancellation.
Which is July 15th.
Yes. So David Moy is working with Sangoma now to ask them, can we go month to month, et cetera, because we may need more time than that to figure out what we're doing. I'm only asking that because at the very least, I want you to know I'm going to work with Andy and with David to do the best thing for the club so we don't get locked into a $2,000 a month.
Yeah, that's.
So I just want your knowledge that
Yes,
I'm
okay,
doing that.
Perfect, yeah.
So that's
No, because like I
Sangoma.
said, Because I invested, I got a VoIP system and I set it up,
Yeah.
in 2 weeks. And technically, we don't even need physical phones here.
I agree, no, we
Because
don't,
No, we don't.
no, we do
it's-
not.
It's all internet and
No, we
you,
don't.
and and you set it up that it goes directly to your
Yeah.
voice, it goes to your cell phone, so you don't even need a physical phone. and you
Right.
get voice over
Okay,
messages and the whole.
Yep.
So, do you have time for one more thing, Cheryl, or do you need to run?
No, I'm good.
Ken, I sent you an email this morning that I'd gotten from Andy that Carla Armstrong had redone the contract with Allied. I think, Keith, you may have seen it.
I saw it, but I haven't had a chance to read
Yeah,
it.
because I'm not clear what we're doing with that, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the correct Exhibit A that we
Okay.
finally agreed to. This has the Sunday patrol back in it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so then do we need to, does that need to be on the next meeting agenda and then we need to ratify that? Keith is nodding.
Yeah, you'll have to vote for that, I'm sure.
Okay, all right, so I'll put that on the agenda. Okay, thank you so much for that.
So Ken, just to clarify, that brings the 10 PM shift on Sunday evening back into the contract?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
awesome. So two more super quick things. Irrigation pumps, or the sleeve.
They'll be, they're changing out that valve today
Okay.
so that we can at least start pumping more water without it just gushing out of that pipe. And then I'm waiting on a bid from them to pull that whole thing out. And it'll be brought back up to code and it'll last another 20 some odd years because the way, if you haven't been up there and looked yet, it'll shock you to see that we're still running with that
Are there
pipe.
any other areas like that that we should be proactively?
We have, there's another pump or a well off of hole number 10, okay? And,
Far side of-
our pump guys were out last week. I think it was either Thursday or Friday. And the pump that's down in that hole is shot. So we're unable to use that well as well to to help facilitate filling up the main pond for irrigation. So that is going to be another look. I mean, all this stuff is, we changed the main pump, 5-6 years ago, which was a great thing, but the pumps that actually bring water into that so we can pump out are 20 years old.
So we
Yeah.
changed the outbound pump, but didn't fix the inbound pumps, basically.
And that all costs are shared with the golf course,
Yes.
Okay.
which has a lot of issues with leaks and things that they need to get under control themselves. But this really, this needs to be, so.
Okay.
And
So,
they're okay with us having that done, Keith?
From my conversations with Jay, yes. I mean, it's something that they can't not do, because if they don't, they're gonna lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in greens.
right. So
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Belinda just reminded me, I think you all got an email that Bill Colgan had sent around about the air quality report.
Yes.
And so Belinda had kindly sent, some additional information, and Bill is gonna be working to get, another view on the air quality report that we got from the River Club to see, before we launch off and decide, what it is we really need to do. We need a second opinion on it. So,
Okay, great.
yeah, and I think, Belinda's just, reminded me, that I'm just gonna say on the record, based on what we know, there is no visible mold.
Okay,
So, unfortunately, I think, something a rumor got legs and took off down the hallway, but, it's important that we get a second view on the testing that was done, so that's gonna happen. And maybe in the 1 or 2 minutes Cheryl might have left, I sent you all a link to a Dropbox video about, the situation that occurred with our front desk staff and a resident who was extremely badly behaved. My view, let me just give you one other piece of information. I talked to Bill Holden about it and said, you know, what do you think we should do? Because the resident came in and apologized.
Oh, you did?
Yes, good donuts.
That's what I heard too.
Okay. I wanted to confirm that, I heard that, but I wanted to make sure.
Not sure if it gives an F-bomb, but I would like to draft a letter because I think there are times when, it's my opinion, there are times when a letter just reminding people that we're not going to tolerate bad behavior like that, and that it shouldn't happen again. And Bill was actually happy with that suggestion, that rather than, you know, suspend somebody, that we send a little note.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't apologize, I would have said suspend them.
Right.
The fact they apologized saves the suspension. I think they should still get a letter to say that
I agree.
that behavior is not acceptable. If you do that again, regardless of whatever, you will be suspended, even if you do apologize as a reminder.
So I'm going to draft something.
People can have a bad day. We don't know what's going on in their mind. The fact that they came back and apologized,
Right.
for me, helps.
Okay.
As opposed to people who have doubled down on instead of apologizing.
Yep.
So
Yes.
So
I'm guilty of that of myself. I mean, I you know, I have a temper. In bad days, and I've gone off, and then I went back and said I'm sorry. And if you came back the next day with donuts, obviously you really did feel bad.
Or you identified him, because I know who it
Or
was.
whatever, but hey, other people have been identified and didn't care.
That's a good
The
point.
fact that he showed some level of remorse,
I don't
whether
disagree.
legitimate or not, we can't get into his mind as to why he went off and what his
Fair enough. His
reason was.
dog
for-
might have died, we don't know. So, do you all want to see this before it goes? A, B, should I send it?
I don't need to see
Should I send it on behalf of the board?
Please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it should come
Or
from
have,
the board.
or have Andy send it from, or it should come from Andy?
No,
No.
And it
No.
needs to
All right.
come from us.
I'm just gonna say on behalf of the board, then.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah,
Peter.
All right, I'll get you here.
All right, you guys, I need to sign off.
Okay,
All
Cheryl.
right, thanks, Cheryl.
Okay, enjoy,
All
Cheryl.
right.
Yeah.
See you, thanks, thanks, buddy.
See you soon.
Goodbye.
Later.
I was just gonna bring up one other thing, which is, you know, Greg had spoken quite passionately about Greg Barker had spoken passionately about this smoothing out the pay for the front of house people, with the service.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the service fee, and it kind of didn't go anywhere. It's not really a budget question, but, I think it's somewhat awkward because we don't have a GM right now. Do you all feel we should try to do anything with this, or should I just, do we wait until we have a new GM?
I think we need a GM,
I
and
do
also we need to make sure the staff's that we're buying from the staff. But at the same time, also, I think part of the conversation is right sizing the staff to make sure that we have the right amount of staff in off-season especially, and figure out how we then supplement in season. And I think the new GM has to work with this all as part and parcel, because even if you right size the tips, but you're making less during season, you're making more off-season.
So you wanna wait until we have a new GM?
I would much prefer to wait.
It's a big global thing.
We need to engage
Especially, like you
Camden.
said, yeah.
I don't know. if we
Fair
can-
enough.
We
I
can make
just-
that
I just
decision without
wanted your-
them.
Greg's spreadsheet had people working 28 hours a week. I don't care if even that you tips, you can't live with 28 hours.
Ken, do you have any view on this? You okay if we wait for a new GM?
Yeah, did you discuss it all with Bill?
I have not talked to Bill about it, but I have talked to Jamie about it, because Jamie utilized this on the golf course side of Laurel Oak. And it kind of plays into what Rich just said, that the staff, the time of year you do it matters, right? Because it's welcome in the summer, but then they kind of feel like they're getting ripped off in the winter. So I think Jamie was somewhat skeptical about it. I will talk to Bill about it. He's worked at enough clubs. Yeah, so that's what Jamie said, is that Jamie has mixed feelings about it.
Okay.
Okay,
And
interesting.
yeah, so, and maybe it's very different with the golf course side, but I'm not entirely sure that's correct. So anyway, yeah, I'll see what Bill thinks about it and report back to you guys at the meeting, the next meeting of the Venetian CDD Board of Supervisors, which is on the 13th of July.
Yep.
Anything else?
I have a request from the golf club and the golf committee.
Okay.
I think I said it.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
yes,
you
you
did.
did, yes.
Do you have a problem with Keith sending out that email?
No, absolutely
No, I
no.
actually think it was a little too nice. I think we need to be a little bit firmer with that.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I figured you were just gonna do it.
Yeah.
I assumed it was just gonna, I think it absolutely must go.
I do too.
I came
100%.
around the golf cart, I was on the 10th hole, and there was a family with kids in strollers walking on the golf cart path, and it had to slam on the brakes. Oh, well, we just live over here on whatever the street was, and said, well, you can't use this, because people come flying around that corner at 25 miles an hour on a golf cart, and might be looking to see where your ball is. So I think it's gotta go out. This is, it's a serious safety concern if they're.
Yeah, well, they have no way to communicate to the entire community.
Sure,
so.
sure.
No, we should, okay,
So
Keith, can you just?
Can Keith handle that?
Yes.
Please.
You have, did you send me the letter?
You were copied on it originally.
Do you want me to send it to you again?
I should have it.
Okay.
I'll look at
If
it.
not, yeah.
If you don't, let me know.
Okay.
Yes, you should.
So maybe just two more quick things since I have you, I was captive. The first is, I had a nice chat with a lady from the condos who's with the new chapter of the Lions Club that's been begun in Nokomis. And she asked me if they could have a collection box for hearing aids and eyeglasses at the front desk. And I told her I was a little concerned because we will get requests from many places.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's intriguing to me that not only the Lions Club, but maybe some others, it may be something where we can organize something, a day or a week or something, in the same way we collect toys, at Christmas time. So I just wanted to let you know, I chatted with her, and I'm also gonna talk to the community association about maybe we can, do a cocktail evening up here where you bring your, anything you want like that's small that you wanted to donate. So anyway, I just wanted to make you aware that I was having this discussion with her. I also talked to somebody about pool temperatures.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did, yeah. It's a friend of mine, a former tennis partner.
Okay.
And she said that both pools, but I think she was more focused on the resort pool, is almost colder in the summer than it is in the winter. But here's what's interesting about that. So Dave Manasco is also my pool guy.
Yes, what did he say?
And he showed me that the set temperatures are lower in the summer than they are in the winter.
Okay.
So I wanted to just throw that over to you, because when it rains, it cools down the
Correct,
pools.
100%.
And when it's really hot out, it feels cold
Colder.
to you. So I'm just throwing that over to you. You might want to talk to David Manasco.
I will, because he has always told me that he sets it between the guidelines for the American Red Cross.
Oh. You didn't tell me that.
So I will check with him again.
Okay,
Those temperatures are listed on the equipment
okay,
behind the tiki bar,
okay,
and he keeps them within that range.
okay. Yeah, 'cause it showed me.
So it might be, let's say, for example, it's 84 to 86, and in the wintertime, they keep it at 86. I'm just throwing out numbers, right? In the summertime, he might keep it at 84.
Because it's gonna warm up during the day.
Because it's organically gonna warm up during the
If
day.
you set it at 86, it's gonna go to 88 and it'll be too hot.
Well, okay, but maybe, but all that I know is that what he has told me is that there are set temperatures for each, the lap pool and the resort pool, and he makes sure that those temperatures are within that range when he comes in here to check on the pool.
Got it, which is, yeah.
Now,
Whatever those temperatures are, I honestly
Also,
don't
the
know.
problem is, obviously, what was discussing on the geothermal side, as we had these conversations, in the morning, at 6, 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, after you get the radiant cooling at night.
Yes,
The water in the morning, the morning is gonna be cooler.
Yeah,
than it will
Especially if
be.
it rains.
So the heat's gotta go on, it's gotta heat up, because you're not running the heat 24/7.
correct.
So it goes off at night
Right.
and it cools.
So-
And then you heat it back up, so it may start off a degree too cold in the morning, it takes a few hours to heat back up.
Heat back up. Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna be able to keep it at this stable, perfect, constant 84 degrees or 85 degrees. You're gonna have these
Yeah.
temperature fluctuations.
And then if you wanted to be 86 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you set it for 84 because.
The coolers,
Because,
go on then.
because in the afternoon, the sun's gonna heat it up to 86. If you run it all day to 86, it's gonna go to 89.
This is the problem. And interestingly, this person who I spoke to said, this became a bigger issue once we got the geothermals, which I think we got in order to cool the pool. So anyway, I'm just sharing all of that because I don't know whether at some point if Matt or somebody wants to, I think education might go a long way toward helping people, yeah.
But I do agree with Rich, in the morning, it's gonna be a little
It
bit
is,
cooler.
I look at my pool every morning.
Right, and it's a little bit cooler in the morning, and it just needs to warm itself up. I will reach out to Matt and have him send out a communication to the community that basically says this is the way we're operating. And it just kinda is what it is. I mean, what I gotta tell you, when I jump into the lap lane and I get there at 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning, it's crisp.
Yeah.
And it takes me a few hundred yards to warm up,
And if it's.
without a doubt.
And if it's 100 degrees outside. and you
That's
jump-
the other thing.
And you jump in the water, whether it's 84 or 86, when you sit outside.
And your temperatures, yeah.
It's gonna feel cold no
Well, if
matter
it's
what the
under
temperature
88,
is.
I'm gonna complain.
I'm serious. Okay, well, I don't know I honestly don't know what the temperature is for the resort pool versus the temperature for the lap lane pool. I know it's posted on that equipment. He has told me that, and he has assured me that he keeps it.
Well, I just
within
wanted
there.
to share that with you.
I will follow up with that.
And also, if you know,
Most
a couple
definitely.
of people that are, a few people that are complaining, obviously are a few years older than they were 20 years ago. So the temperature that used to be set, the temperature that used to be set at is not necessarily the same temperature
Yeah,
that they're,
your body
physiologically, you just can't handle it.
Well, and that is what the person I spoke to said, she's bothered more by the cold now than she was in summer. So.
Listen, I used to swim in Lake Michigan when it was 58 degrees. I don't know if you get me in there now at 58
I
degrees.
keep my pool at 82. And, let it warm, the sun will let it warm.
And then you let it warm up by itself.
And when it goes to 84, it's too hot for me. I start putting my umbrellas up to make sure it doesn't cut any hotter than that.
I'll check with Matt.
So anybody have anything else, Ken?
Sorry,
Rich.
I had mentioned to Keith a couple times, the pond behind my house has gotten very brown several times, especially with the low water levels, and I just want.
He's been out there twice. Every time you've contacted me, I contact him. And he's been out there.
Is it just me? Is it just my pond?
Just your pond.
Okay.
It's just the level of the ponds. And he says that there's nothing to worry about, but we're shallow all the way around the community, so.
I just want to make.
It gets browner.
Well, I just want to make sure that we're putting enough dye in it to keep it as dark, because obviously the shallower you get, the more light comes in, and then more stuff can grow. So
Do we dye it?
He did on his.
I thought we did that. I thought that was part of solitude twice was to dye the ponds.
He couldn't, I don't believe
Got
so.
your food coloring.
No, it was in the
No,
quote.
we haven't talked about it.
I thought that was in the quote. It was the author's quote was the data lines.
Well, he died yours. But I don't know if,
I remember questioning what the heck that was, and I researched it, and that's what I read.
All right, so anyway, whatever it is, it's normal. Ken, did you have something? Do you have anything else, Ken?
Yes. I don't know, just as information, I'll check with Belinda. On our call with Carol, Vanessa, and I, we talked about merging the capital reserve with the respective reserve, general and river club reserve accounts,
Right.
because it's just getting more and more confusing. And both of them thought that, really wanted that done. And I'll just check with Belinda to make sure there's no issue. And then do we need board approval, or is it just operational? So just so you're aware, so we're talking about that.
I think we should make.
I also said out to a couple of residents who brought it up, I would bring it up again. The entry fountain, not the middle fountain, but the fountain on the right as you come in, that has the big spray. I still get a couple of complaints about it giving a car wash to people, and I don't know if there's any desire or way to move it or lower the pressure when it's windy.
I thought we talked about possibly lowering the pressure a little bit on that, but I mean,
we can lower it. You know, it really only happens when it's windy and it blows, and we can try to lower the pressure a little bit, but you know, it has a light on it, and it's.
I think we should just get a light.
Yeah, exactly.
no, I mean, if we can, I mean, I've got my car sprayed on it too, but I mean.
I walk by there
Yeah,
sometimes
if-
and
if-
I
I
think
do
it's
too.
alligator.
If we can lower the pressure, if we can lower the pressure on it some, to move it, no, because if you move it,
Yeah,
and all the way, if you lower
I
the
don't think we
corner.
can move it.
Well, I'm saying, even if you could move it, to move it all the way to the corner, great, now I've got a fatten, you can't see.
I think we got a lot of.
I'll check more into getting the pressure down a little bit to bring it down,
Would you go
but
in there yourself and?
we'll take pictures of me. Yeah, take pictures of me doing that.
Yeah, that might be a reasonable solution.
This was great. I'm disturbed about the Nile monitors.
yeah, that is concerning.
I know it'll be a hot topic.
The fountain or the Nile monitors.
Oh, that's scary.
It is scary.
It is
Yeah.
scary.
Aren't you glad you're in Maine?
We're gonna have to find out how we.
Well, when there's gunfire going off in all directions, yeah.
You don't want to hear the air rifles going off.
All right, so I guess we don't really need to adjourn it because it's not a meeting, it's a workshop, right?
Still need to adjourn.
Okay, all right, you're making the motion, Ken?
No, we can't vote.
I'm moving it.
We can't vote.
Oh, that's all right, we're adjourning.
We're adjourning.
All right, we're adjourning. Bye, Ken.
I can get it to them, but
Thank you, Rich.
yeah, I'll make sure that they get it.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, girls.
Have a-
You too. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for staying. We really appreciate your interest.
We're trying to educate ourselves.